Three, two, one. We are live now, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Dr. Vishal Dave, Medical Advisor at Intas Pharmaceuticals. On behalf of Intas, I welcome you all for this Foxy Symbiosis webinar 14 on the topic Condemn Violence Against Women, Our Dream Safe Motherhood on 11th June 2024. Before starting the webinar, we would like to have a lamp lighting ceremony.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Monica Singh. Just allow me, it is connecting. Dr. Monica Singh is consultant reproductive medicine, Bhopal Fertility and Endoscopy Center. She is also professor at Ellen Medical College, Bhopal. She is managing committee member, ESAR. She is also West Zone Coordinator, Medical Disorder Committee, FOXY. She is also convener of ESAR Perfection Series and convener of FOXY Symbiosis Series. I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Monica Singh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Vishal Dave, from the medical team of Intas Pharma, who are our pharma partners for this academic series, which is now on the 14th episode. As you can see from this beautiful display, the Foxy Symbiosis series started its webinars way back in September 23. And now with all the Foxy committees and all the chairpersons and the different programs, we are on the 14th episode with Foxy No to Violence Against Women Committee under the dynamic leadership of Dr. Kiranmai Devineni ma'am and the Foxy Safe Motherhood Committee under the graceful leadership of Dr. Poonam Goyal ma'am. With the help of these two committees, we have done a symbiosis with Bhopal Obstetrics and Gynecological Society. And the title of our webinar today is Condemn Violence in All Forms Against Women. And our dream is ultimately a safe motherhood. So what could be better as a symbiosis than these two committees getting together and taking a plan? Our webinar has been granted 4 ICOG points. And to all the viewers present here, all delegates, all faculties. And with this, I would like to introduce our Foxy office bearers. This is the short overview of the program we have. We have 3 talks, as you can see from by eminent speakers, Dr. Geeta Balsarkar, Dr. K.S. Jairani Kamraj, and Dr. Poonam Goyal ma'am. And then we have a very, very interesting panel, which is going to be moderated by Dr. Kiranmai ma'am, dealing with POXO Act and sexual abuse, for which we have a galaxy of panelists from all over India. So taking this forward, I would like to thank our Foxy office bearers, Dr. Jaideep Chang sir, President Foxy, Dr. Madhuri Patel ma'am, Secretary General Foxy, Dr. Girja Saag madam, Vice President Foxy, Dr. Kiran Mai ma'am, Chairperson No to Violence Against Women Committee, and Dr. Pooja Goyal ma'am, Chairperson Safe Motherhood Committee. I would like to thank from the core of my heart our chief guests for today's function, Dr. Suchitra N. Pandit ma'am and Dr. Shanta Kumari Shekharan ma'am. Dr. Shanta Kumari is not well today. She'll not be able to join, but we have blessings of Suchitra ma'am for us. We also have our very, very dear and respected guests of honor, Dr. Sarveshwari Nautiyal ma'am and Dr. Sneha Vihar ma'am. I welcome them warmly for the webinar of Symbiosis 14. Dr. Vishal, could I have the slides of the Foxy office bearers? Dr. Jaideep Tang is President of Foxy and a very dynamic leader we have amongst us, heading the 43,000 gynecologists all over India in a very, very efficient and path-breaking manner. We thank Dr. Jaideep Tang. His blessings are always with us. I would like to also thank our Secretary General. Madam might be joining soon. Purva, Neetu, you can give me a call as soon as Madam joins.
Yes.
Dr. Madhuri Patel ma'am is Secretary General Foxy. Again, very, very constant figure guiding light for our Symbiosis webinar. She may not like to join, even if it is for 5 minutes, she always joins our programs and gives her words of wisdom. We're always thankful to ma'am for being there whenever we need her. In fact, she is very dear to all Foxians. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Girjawag ma'am, our VP, and she is VP West Zone, and she is also the professor in HOD, Department of OBGYN at Bharati Vidyapeeth Medical College Hospital, Pune. Madam is also going to join soon, and we thank her for being there and always guiding us. Now I would like to introduce our chairpersons for today, without whose blessings and without whose affirmation we could not have carried this program forward. Dr. Kiranmai ma'am, as we can see, is a very dynamic leader. She's not only the chairperson of Foxy No to Violence Against Women Committee of 22 to 25. She's also the vice president OGSH Hyderabad, core member of Foxy No to Violence Against Women Cell, core member, coordinator, and TOT faculty of Foxy Dhira Initiative, and the scientific vice chairperson of the very successful AICOG 2024 Hyderabad, which we all enjoyed. Madam is working as Professor OBG at GMC Vanaparthi and Kaluki University of Health Sciences, Telangana, and is a UG and PG teacher since 24 years. Madam, welcome, and we would like to have a few words from you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. I think successfully running 14th episode Symbiosis, very well coordinated, cohesive program and a very professional kind of thing that I've been observing. And it is really our pleasure and privilege to have our President Foxy Jaideep sir and his continuous support, Dr. Madhuri Patel madam, of course, Girijawag madam and all the vice presidents. And it's a special moment today because we know Suchitra madam as our past president Foxy and one of the leading luminaries of Foxy and also representing internationally. So a great mentor for all of us who is our chief guest today. So looking forward to madam's words of wisdom. And again, a wonderful feeling to have both very dear and loving Dr. Sarveshwari madam and also Dr. Sneha Buyar as guests of honor. So, and getting these committees together, we have been working a lot of our programs are together. I mean, we are not doing singly, we are doing together many committees. We find some common ground and we really enjoy working together. So this collaboration or bringing together with Safe Motherhood Committee with Dr. Poonam Goyal, I'm also thankful to Dr. Poonam and yourself for bringing it all together. And as you have told, we have really very important topics as lectures and the panel also I hope will uh, really ignite some discussion and interaction because it is very important to know about POXO and sexual abuse. All the presidents and secretaries from Gujarat societies and a lot of other societies, I welcome and thank every one of them. With this, over to you, Monica. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. And now I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Poonam Goyal, ma'am. She is chairperson of Foxy Safe Motherhood Committee. And recently I interacted a lot with Poonam ma'am in Amritsar, where we were there for a very short time. But she came across as a very warm and affable and approachable chairperson. So I have been talking to her about this committee program, but it was there. We finally, zeroed in on the dates and the topics and everything. And we are so happy that Dr. Sneha and Dr. Poonam Goyal are coming to Bhopal again in July for the VP conference, though we will miss the presence of Kiranmai ma'am there. Madam is the ICOG Governing Council member and executive member of EDGF, has edited and
I
authored
think
several
Dr.
books.
Monica, that is enough.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
need for that long
And
introduction.
we can see you are working in very good places, ma'am. You are the HOD, IVF and infertility, as well as dealing with high-risk pregnancy in tertiary hospitals of Delhi. So we can really take a lot of knowledge and wisdom from your experience and your vast, profound knowledge, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Like to have a few words from you, ma'am.
It's just that Dr. Monica is doing a wonderful work, I think. And as Dr. Kinamai just said that doing programs in collaboration, I think that is worth a thought and it's going very well. Actually, if you are doing everything alone, then you don't cover the whole subject as a whole. So I think this programs with the other committees, collaboration which Dr. Jaideep Tank has initiated, I think that is very wonderful concept as such. And my regards to Dr. Suchitra ma'am, just saw her here, and regards to Dr. Jaideep Tank sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your blessings.
Welcome.
Now we come to the moment for which we have been waiting to listen to Dr. Suchitra and Pandit, our respected chief guest. And I've been wanting to invite Madam as chief guest since a long time. I was so fortunate that Madam was finally available for this program. And she has, there are no words to introduce her. We know she has been at the head and as president of all the various organizations of India, President Foxy and ICOG, President Mumbai Obsgynae Society, President ISOPAP, President Gestosis India Association, Chairperson AICC and also she is the associate member of FIGO Ethics Committee. So we can learn a lot from her in the course of today's, lectures. Madam is working as a senior consultant or Department of OBGYN at the Surya Group of Hospitals, Mumbai, and is also our proudly, she is the Foxy representative to CEPOG years 24 to 26. Madam has got a brilliant CV, which is spread in front of us. And Madam, we are so honored to have you here. I'm so overwhelmed, I can't even express my feelings very well. So, Madam, without taking much time, we would just want to listen to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. First of all, it's wonderful being at a place where you feel very welcome. Thank you, Monica, for the invitation. And I must say that, violence against women is a issue which is, very, very close to all our hearts, because we don't want any of our women or our young girls to suffer at all. So when this committee started, I was very, very happy, and it's gone to the hands of a very capable person, Kiran May. Kiran May, I knew her before she became the chairperson, because she was a part of the, the team from Hyderabad. And Kiran May, wonderful job you've been doing. I've done your basic course also, though I must confess that I was not able to go to any of the schools because of the paucity of time. But this is a subject which, wherever I can, wherever I'm trying to, wherever possible, I have been talking about it. And of course, as you very rightly said, working together is symbiosis. So now you are working together with symbiosis, and symbiosis itself means a very fruitful combination. So a Safe Motherhood Committee, Poonam and Kiran Mai working together, obviously the combination is going to be excellent. And when it's taken up by a very capable person like Monica, and Randir, I think, is your co-convener. So great to have this particular program, and it's always nice to see our wonderful smiling Sarveshwari and the ever dynamic Sneha. When they're there for the committee, I'm sure the workshop is going to go off very well. I would also like to say that I do like the topics. When I say like, I feel they're very, very important. Deciphering violence against women, teenage pregnancy, the fetal growth restriction updates, and of course, the POXO Act. Because POXO Act is something which is, it's like a double-edged sword. You want to practice it, and yet you feel you owe it to the young people to help. You want to help them out. But I would also like to mention one, Kiranmai, when we are talking, also we should talk of, safety of women at workplace. So the Vishaka judgment is already out many years ago, and we had taken the entire training when I was working at SAR, and I was a part of the prevention of sexual violence against women at workplace. I was a part of that committee, and definitely I'd like to say that even women who are at workplace, we're not just talking of bureaucrats or corporate offices. It's even at schools. And very shocking to hear, even in today's the TV world, where you've got so many of these reality shows, we've got these young children, young girls, boys, young girls coming from various places. Apparently they also have to go through a lot of verbal and very, very vulgar comments. So Kiran Mai, somehow if we can reach out to that level also, and give them a word of caution that the world is watching, and tomorrow if you misbehave, or even if you talk inappropriately, or you pass vulgar comments, even that is taken as a form of harassment, and harassment is a part of sexual violence against women. So I'm sure, Kiranmay has got many ideas, and I'm always there to support you, Kiranmay, as well as, Poonam, because all these subjects, as president of Foxy in the past, we were dealing with empowerment of women. And if in our country women feel safe, that is very, very important. And I hope the new government also gives absolute importance to safety of women
Super
everywhere
karo.
and our young children. Congratulations again, Monica, for coming forth with a wonderful program. You have a very impressive list of faculty who are going to be deliberating, including Poonam herself. And of course, it's nice to see your president of Bhopal Society, Anita, as well as your secretary. And thank you to all the conveners who brought forth this wonderful symbiotic program. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank-
you, ma'am. Suchitra, ma'am, that was really very guiding and very important messages for me. I'll take all your points, ma'am, and look forward to your guidings and blessings in future. I'll focus
And
on what you have said, ma'am. Thank you
yes,
so
and
much.
before I leave, I just wanted to say I missed meeting Shanta today, but please give my best wishes to her. I think she is not well, so hope she recovers soon. And I'd also like to say best of luck to two of the contestants today. I think Sneha is there, and Sneha is going ahead for a VP election. But I'm sure we all will definitely support her, and of course, Monica is also contesting for a chairperson's post. So
Aruna is
all the
there, ma'am.
best.
Aruna Suman
And
also is
Aruna
there.
Suman is also there. Aruna,
Ma'am,
yeah, see, you're
I
behind the
need your
scenes.
blessings too.
Aruna, all our
Ma'am,
support for you. All the best for
thank
you,
you.
Aruna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the best thing is, madam, all three of us are so closely knit. Like
Yeah.
Dr. Anna, I can call anytime. Dr. Sneha, like we almost talk every day. So we exactly know how we are working, and we help and support each other. And I feel that Foxy is a very big family we have, ma'am. We are blessed to be in Foxy. So next, I would like to just pay my regards to Shanta ma'am and hope she gets well soon and we have her again in a program anytime soon. And I would like to now introduce and invite and welcome our guests of honor. Dr. Sarveshwari Nautiyal, she has been introduced as the ever smiling guest of honor we have. As we can see from her illustrious CV, Madam is founder and managing director of Kishori Foundation. So I Googled this foundation also. So it's a pan-India NGO which focuses on conducting screening programs and awareness camps in rural as well as urban areas of Uttarakhand for early detection of breast and cervical cancer. This work itself tells us volumes about Madam's passion and dedication towards preventive oncology and how it can be spread to every part of a state, Uttarakhand, and then like all over India. Madam has been the Director of Medical and Health Services Government of UP and has also been a senior consultant colposcopist at various prominent hospitals of Allahabad, as well as the superintendent in chief of District Women's Hospital, Allahabad. My husband was born in Allahabad, so he has told me about all these hospitals. She has also done so many screening camps for thyroid disorders. Plus, she's worked as principal worker for project for AIMS New Delhi for screening program for hypothyroidism in newborns. She is the member of all prominent societies of India, and she's very much interested in screening programs. So, ma'am, without wasting time, we would like to listen from you and get your blessings for the program, ma'am.
Thank you for the nice words. And first of all, I want to thank all of you because these faces I want to see every time. And Monica, it's you who given me this opportunity to be here with Suchitra, and I was waiting for Shanta also. And Sneha is my favorite one. So all of you who are present here, Poonam, Kiranmai, I always had a soft corner to everybody's work because what work Kiranmai is doing is superb. And what is Poonam is doing, it's superb. What Suchitra has done, nobody can compare that. I know I'm in Foxy since many years. I was looking and I was surprised how these girls are doing this much of the work. Kiranmai, your work is very close to my heart and it's really Shanta's project. which is being done by you so nicely. I want to do that in my area because I have seen in my hospital the medical legal case coming from the rural area, and all were having the, we couldn't do anything except doing the medical legal, but the heart was really hurt at that time. Now things are changed. I have seen Kiran Mai taking classes of the young girls in the school girls. So it will definitely take us towards a better future of our girls.
Thank
And
you.
Poonam, I've seen you working because I was there at Safe Motherhood committee function in last in Hyderabad, in Conference Hyderabad. So, and I know Poonam very well. I know her personally because she is just neighbor to one of my class fellow who was praising Poonam like anything. Then in the end, I said, I know her very well. Then he was very surprised. How do you know her? So we are just talking about the two people. But Monica, you have made them to come together with us. They can share their knowledge with us with this Symbiosis series. So it is a 14 series. I love to see the Symbiosis. Whenever I get the time, I switch on and I join it. And today is a great day for me because my friend Sneha Buar is also here and a guest of honor. I wish her all the best, and I know she should win. And Suchitra, what to say about you? I'm a big fan of yours, you know it. And we are meeting in different conferences. And always I say, Suchitra, how can you do it like this? How can you do so many things? How can you manage all? I always ask her. Monica, thank you very much. You have bring us together, and I can see all my favorites over here. Thank you so much, Monica. I want to give my best wishes to you for this chairperson of the perinatal cavity, committee, and I wish you all the success. Meeting you soon. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And in your sweet voice, you have touched all our hearts. And now I would like to introduce the guest of honor who has been invited with Sarveshwari ma'am, and she is a great. They are very good friends. And Dr. Sneha Surendriyar is from Yavatmal. She has more than 3 decades of experience. She is an alumnus of prestigious BJ Medical College, Pune. And she was previously, in the initial years of her practice, she served as assistant professor OBGY at the VN Government Medical College. But even when she was in the initial years of practice, she always had a passion to serve the poor and needy people. So she was an active Rotarian working in Lions Club. Then she started practicing in her own setup called the Sukhkarta Hospital, where with even busy practice, she managed to organize so many camps and free service, free health checkups for poor people. And she is also the recipient of several illustrious awards from the government of Maharashtra. She has got the Anandibai Joshi Award. She's got the International MS Signature Award, the Asia GCC Award, Lokmat Healthcare Excellence Award. And also, because of her wonderful work in rural obstetrics, she has been bestowed from Foxy the Dr. S.N. Malhotra Unsung Hero Award. Madam is also the recipient of Dhira Award and has been very active in her tenure as chairperson of the Foxy Breast Committee. Right now, she is in the EMOGS Committee of High Risk Pregnancy and Obstetrics, and she has been the recipient of the Stree Award from the hands of Maharashtra Governor. We are blessed to have you, ma'am, amongst us. We wish you all the best for forthcoming elections, and please honor us with a few words of address.
Thank you so much, Monica, for that wonderful, not really wonderful, I would say generous introduction. A very good afternoon to each and everyone. My heartfelt thanks to respected President Foxy, Dr. Jaideep Chand, Secretary General Dr. Madhuri Patel, and of course, Girija Wagh, our dear friend, the Vice President of Foxy, both the chairs, Dr. Kiran Mai and Dr. Poonam Goyal, the Violence Against Women and Safe Motherhood Committee, and of course, the President and Secretaries of Bhopal Society Dr. Anita Srivastava, Dr. Shabana Sultan, my dear friend Monica Singh and Randir Singh, and of course, all the team, I would say. I thank all of you for the invitation and the honor. I'm humbled to share the dais with Madam Suchitra Pandit, who is my mentor, and of course, Madam Shanta Kumari, both the past president of Foxy, my mentors who have groomed me what I am today. Dr. Sarveshwari Nautiyal, all of you have heard her, very loving and caring Foxian. They are working for the cause selflessly. Dr. Mahendra Soni sir, the president of SOGOG, Dr. Sarfraz Kazi, the vibrant secretary of SOGOG, and of course, all the president and secretaries of the Gujarat societies. I would like to welcome all of you. Thank you for, welcome you here and thank all of you for being the part of this program. I can see Dr. Hiral Pandya from Baruch, Dr. Aruna Suman, of course, who is the coordinator for this committee, but who has served Foxy as joint secretary. And of course, the Dr. Monica Singh, who is now the West Zone coordinator of Medical Disorders Committee of Foxy. Very, very deserving candidates, both of them. My best wishes to both of them. Also, my regards to Dr. Deepal Badodia from Secretary Jamnagar, Dr. Vishang Patel, the Secretary Himmatnagar, Dr. Nandini Singh Bhati, Dr. Jagesh Kumar Modi, Dr. Radhika Jibba, and of course, Sangeeta Pahwa, the Secretary of Amritsar, my dear friend, and Dr. Neha Bhatnagar. I'm sure all of you will agree to me that the silent epidemic, or maybe pandemic, you can say, it is still there, as Madam has already said. All of us really need to fight it out. And for that, the topics, deciphering violence against women by the very apt speaker, our dear friend, Dr. Geeta Balsarkar. Dr. Jairani, I happened to deliver this talk last week itself on Wisdom Platform, the teenage pregnancy, and I'm eager to listen to you. Of course, FGR, Dr. Poonam Goel, the chair herself, and panel discussion on the much discussed but less practiced POXO Act by the chair herself, Dr. Kiran Maya. We are really eager to listen to all of you, and of course it's going to be a brainstorming discussion, I feel. Thank you so much, the hardworking coordinators Neetu Mishra, Purva, and of course Nandini Singh Bhati. I'm humbled and thankful to all of you for having me here as guest of honor. Just an humble appeal to vote and support me as Foxy Vice President from West Zone for the upcoming elections. I thank all of you for having me here. Thank you so much. Best wishes to Dr. Monica Singh, Aruna Suman, and of course, the third person, I think, yeah.
You are yourself third person.
I said the third person, yes. Thank you so much.
So, Madam, that shows Madam has forgotten her name only. So
Yeah.
that tells us how humble Sneha ma'am is and how caring she is for both of us. So, Madam, with your permission, I would now like to introduce my president and secretary of my parent society. My parent society is Bhopal Obstetrics and Gynecological Society, headed by dynamic president Dr. Anita Srivastava, who is taking the office last 2 years, and she is an alumnus of Jabalpur Medical College as well as GMC Bhopal, which is also my alma mater. Very, accomplished gynecologist with special interest not only in routine obstetrics but also high-risk pregnancy, adolescent health, and cosmetic gynecology. She is trying to bring cosmetic gynecology through workshops in Bhopal in a very big way. And she is a very, very dynamic president we have. We are fortunate to have her. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Shabana Sultan. She is Secretary of Bhopal OBGY Society, plus the head of the department of GMC Bhopal, which is the largest government medical college of Bhopal. Her special interest is not only in academics, but also PPH. She is the member of esteemed team of PPH Bundle along with Sevagram. And her special interest is in preventive gynec oncology, high-risk pregnancy. She's the master trainer of cervical screening program. So Dr. Shabana, could you please introduce the society and speak a few words for us, please?
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here. Good evening, everyone. I welcome all the dignitaries on behalf of Bhopal OB-GYN Society. And it's my privilege to be a part of this Symbiosis series, and it's a successful 14th series webinar. I congratulate Dr. Monica Singh ma'am for the wonderful series with wonderful topic with the wonderful speakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shabana. And now I would just like to thank my co-convener, Dr. Randhir Singh, who is also the organizing chairperson of the highly successful ISAR conference we witnessed in Bhopal in 2023. And he's always there for all my activities. So without the support of your better half, you can't uh, do much. So I'm thankful to him. I would also like to thank my pillars, my three pillars of support, which I have around me always. Dr. Neetu Mishra, she's associate now. These are like my bachas, but they are very accomplished gynecologists. Dr. Neetu Mishra is Associate Professor, Department of OBGY at AIMS Bhopal, which is one of the premier institutes of the country. Dr. Purva Bhatkur is Assistant Professor, OBGY, Department of OBGY, GMC Bhopal with Dr. Shabana Sultan. And Dr. Nandini Singh Bhati is also Assistant Professor in the Department of OBGY, GMC Bhopal. These are the three gynecologists who help me connect and help me function, help me carry on the work, help me advance the series. And we have basically now made Bhopal a known city all over India because of our activities which are focused from the heart of India. Thank you so much, Dr. Neetu, Purva, Nandini. And now I hand over the program to all three of you to take it forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Myself, Dr. Neetu, I welcome all the dignitaries. Good evening, all. Let's start our scientific session. For the first session, we have speaker Dr. Geeta Balasarkar, ma'am. She is presently Secretary of Mumbai OBGYN Society, and she will be talking on deciphering violence against women. To chair this session, we have two eminent faculties as chairperson, Dr. Mahendra B. Soni, sir, and Dr. Sarfaraz Kazi, sir. Dr. Mahendra B. Soni, sir, is presently the president of SOGOG, and he is also the founding president of Himmatnagar OBGYN Society. He has hosted SOGOG conference successfully in 1994 and 23 as chairperson. His special area of interest is critical obstetrics and infertility, and he is alumni of prestigious BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, Gujarat. He is also ex-regional chairman of Lions Club International and has participated in many national and international conferences. I welcome you, sir, for chairing this session and hope we'll be benefited by your presence.
Thank you,
Our
Dr.
Our second chairperson for this session is Dr. Sarfaraz Nawaz Kazi, sir. He is presently the president of Himmatnagar OBGYN Society. He is director, Navjeevan Women's Hospital, Himmatnagar. He is also consultant gynecologist, endoscopy and infertility specialist, and experience in running high-risk pregnancy unit for more than 2 decades in Himmatnagar. He is member of Society of Fetal Medicine, organizing vice chairperson of SOGOG 2023, local joint secretary of SOGOG, state coordinator sexual health and STI committee FOXY, North Zone coordinator of Gujarat chapter ISAR. We welcome you, sir, to chair this session. Now I hand over this session to our chairpersons to introduce our speaker and carry forward the session.
Thank you, Dr. Nita. At the outset, I thank you, Dr. Monica Singh, for inviting us, myself and my society president, Dr. Sarfaraj Kaji. As I am really impressed by your Symbiosis series, I have attended many of them. And just now, I would like to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Geeta Balsarkar. She is a professor, unit chief, Nauroji Vadia Maternity Hospital and St. GS Medical Hospital, Mumbai. She is a secretary of Mumbai Obstetrics and Gynecology Society of India. She is an editor emeritus of Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology of India. She is the past president, Association of Medical Women of India. She is a former president of Mumbai Menopause Society. She is a chairperson of Young Talent Promotion Committee, and she is a recipient of Hargobind Foundation Fellowship for Study of Fetal Medicine. Now I will request Dr. Geeta Balsarkar for a topic of deciphering violence against women. Please, Geeta.
Thank you very much, sir, for this kind introduction. At the outset, I must thank Dr. Monica and the team Bhopal and the two committees of Foxy, which has decided to take this topic very seriously. Like I was given the topic decoding or deciphering violence against women. So if we see our mythology, if we read all our mythology, everywhere. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
madam.
you can
Yes,
see.
we
No,
can.
yeah. Okay. Can you see what is there in this picture? Can we all make out what is there in this picture?
Draupadi.
Yeah, Draupadi's Vastraharan. So if we go through mythology, now as I have become elder, I can say, and I go back and I revisit mythology, we find so many places that there is violence against women. It is so much internalized and it is there in our culture, very much in our culture. So we owe Shurpanakha and other mythological women an apology that all these 55, 56 years, I didn't realize that this is a mistake or this is a fault or we should not behave like this. When people, Shurpanakha's nose was cut and the other mythological, stories which are there. So if we see what is the history of violence against women in India, in a Vedic Kal, from Ramcharitramanas, Sita ji, even if the goddess is called Lakshmi and the wife of Vishnu, even then she was abducted. So our violence starts right at that stage. Second example is Draupadi, the wife of Pandavas, that is Dharmaraj Yudhishthir, is called Dharmaraj. Yet these things happened and there has been no objection raised. So lot of things have changed over the years, and the apex court has also had some cases where Punjab versus Major Singh, it has dealt with section 354 of the Indian Penal Code. It deals with violence against women, where it has clearly interpreted what woman means and what the term violence means. So each of the women in our country, all of us, we should know what is section 354 of the Indian Penal Code. So this is how we should know, arm ourselves against violence against women. The problem of violence against women is not new. Women in Indian society have been victims of humiliation, torture, exploitation, etc. Today, women are being gradually recognized as important, powerful, and meaningful contributors to the life of men. But till a few years back, it was really pitiable. Ideologies, institutional practices, and existing norm in society have contributed much to this harassment. Some of these behavioral practices are there even today. Some of them are very obvious, but some of them are very subtle, and they have been internalized by women themselves. If you see in cases of domestic violence, many a time women themselves have violence against women. Women themselves cause violence against other women. It has become so much internalized. So what does the statistics say? 1 in 3 women experience violence. This is not only India, it is all over the world. About 1/3 of women around the world, that is 30%, will experience physical or sexual violence in their life. It means every third woman has had some form of violence in their life. So there are various definitions to it. Violence is an, like Gals, he gave this definition. It is an act of striking a person, like a slapping or a striking a person with the intent of causing harm or injury and actually causing it. Strays, he has described violent act as an act wherein there is a potential injury, causing injury. Then Dominac has given a different description, says act of a person when there is encroachment of the freedom of another person. Then Megargi has defined violence as overly threatened or accomplished application of force, which results in injury, destruction of persons or their reputation. These 4 people have given various definitions of violence against women. On an international level, the United Nations has on the elimination of violence against women, it provides the following definition. The term violence against women means any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely the result of physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to the women including threats of sexual acts, coercion, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty, whether in public or in private life. So, what is violence against women? How do you understand violence against women? It's act of violence that occur between people who have or had an intimate relationship, ongoing pattern of behavior aimed at controlling a partner through fear, for example, by using behavior which is violent and threatening. You do this, otherwise I will do this. If you don't do this, I'll do this to your parents. So when they do something against like this, that is also a part of violence against women. So what is a global estimate violence against women combined estimates in 2040? So they say 31% between 15 to 49 years and 30% between 15 years and older have faced violence sometime in their life. Either it could be from the in-laws side, mother-in-law, or it could be from some family member, close family member, or it could be from husband side, or it could be violence at work, or from violence from close friends, or it could be in their close circle. On an average, 736 million and up to 852 million women between 15 years and 49 years, that is nearly 1 in 3 women, have experienced some form of violence in their life. This itself tells us what a great pandemic it is and what importance it requires. Now, if you see in India, NFHS 4, what does it say? That 33% of ever married women have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional violence. 26% of ever married women have experienced at least one form of violence in the last 12 months. And 4% have experienced physical violence during the pregnancy. The pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, has brought about this violence against women in a very big way, because it put everybody in a closed space. All the men, women, everybody were closed up in their home, and then there was a lot of violence against women. 82% report their current husbands as perpetrators of violence. So you can see what a big problem this is. Violence against women has many phases. It could be sexism in the society, gender stereotypes. So when I go out in the lift, I have another person from the society who is there, one man in the society who is there in the lift with me, and he asks, "Oh, so you have become a doctor, is it?" You know, the way they talk to you, the way they look at you, the way it is said, that itself can say that they have stereotyped you, or they have looked at you in a very different way. From their look only we can make out like what is their intention. There are discriminatory laws everywhere, lack of political participation. Healthcare services do not cover all the needs of women. Unpaid care work, oh, what to tell, during the COVID time, none of us had any help in the house, so all of us did a lot of unpaid work and care in the house. There could be direct physical, psychological, or sexualized violence. So violence against women has got many phases, and we could have in one form or the other form, or there could be more than combination of one form for the same woman. So the Police Research Bureau has referred crime against women in two categories. One comes under the Indian Penal Code, that is what I already described, and second, crime under the local and special law. This bureau has identified 7 crimes in the first category and 4 crimes in the second category. The 7 crimes under the IPC are rape, kidnapping, abduction, homicide, dowry, torture, physical and mental molestation, eve teasing, and importation of girls up to 21 years of age. All these are crime under the IPC or the Indian Penal Code. The next one, the 4 crimes under the local and special laws are sati, dowry prohibition, immoral traffic, and indecent representation of women. So these are the 2 types under the law. The types of violence against women could be criminal, like we also under 354 of the IPC. It could be rape, abduction, murder. There could be domestic violence like dowry death, wife battering, sexual abuse, maltreatment of widows or elderly women. Social violence like forcing the wife or the daughter-in-law to go for female feticide. We are gynecologists. I don't need to talk about this female feticide. We have dealt with it in the past decade very much. Eve teasing, refusing to give share of to the women in the property. Supreme Court has recently passed a judgment saying that women have equal share to property. Forcing a young woman to commit sati, harassing the daughter-in-law to bring more dowry, all that goes under the social violence. So women are often targeted within the sanctities of their homes and families. They feel very, very unsafe within their own homes, where one woman or a girl being killed every 11 minutes, either by an intimate partner or his family member. Violence against women can manifest itself in physical, sexual, psychological form, and it encompasses intimate partner violence like battering, psychological abuse, marital woes, infanticide, sexual violence, for rape, forced sexual acts, unwanted advances, child sexual abuse, forced marriage, everything, human trafficking, slavery, sexual exploitation, female genital mutilation. In some particular communities, it is very, very common, female genital mutilation, child marriage. All these are part of violence against women. So there are various types. Female feticide. It is a process of finding out the sex of the fetus and undergoing abortion if it is a girl. It is a very, troublesome part of violence against women. Although it is illegal in India, some people still continue to do it under the carpet. There are some communities which practice female infanticide, which is even worse than female feticide. The practice of killing a girl child once she is born. The fact is highlighted by the finding of the consensus in 2001, which showed that they had only 993 women in every country, in this country, for every 1,000 men. Besides this, 2011 data showed significant declining trend in the female child sex ratio, and therefore the government has come up with stringent measures to it. And the declining sex ratio means we are not depriving girls of human rights, we are also depriving them of their right to live. Now there is one village in Kerala where all the boys go to Punjab to get married because there are no girls in that village to get married to the boys. Such a situation will come if we don't tackle with this very soon. Domestic violence deeply entrenched and widely prevalent in India. National Crime Records Bureau, NCRB 2019, reports that the majority, that is 30.9% of the 4 lakh cases and the crimes against women are registered under Section 498A of the Indian Penal Code. The section deals with cruelty by husband or its relatives. So almost 4 lakh cases in 2019 has been, under this 498A of the Indian Penal Code for cruelty by husband and his relatives. If this is the amount of complaints that has come, and it will be only tip of the iceberg, can you imagine how many more cases will be there which have not got reported at all? From 498A of the IPC is a criminal law that protects the married women from their spouses and relatives of the spouse from inflicting cruelty on the women. Despite having the largest share of crimes against women, domestic violence is known to be systematically underreported crime. The reasons range from what will the society say, embarrassment, no financial dependency, no independency, what will the husband retaliate, victim blaming, and sometimes they are not having access to the children. So because of all this, they just keep quiet even in cases of domestic violence and don't report this. So this is a very big problem. Now, Rezwan et al. In 2020, they conducted a comprehensive study to distinguish between the 5 types of harassment: sexual harassment, racial harassment, appearance related harassment, that is kali hai, gori hai, depending on the color, intellectual and political. So these are the various 5 types of harassment. Physical violence can include slap, shoves, hits, punches, pushes, throwing down the stairs, across the room, kicking, twisting of arms, and being burnt or stabbed. Psychological or emotional abuse can include range of controlling behaviors like taking away their money and controlling the finances, isolation from family and continual humiliation, threats against children or being threatened by injury or death, financial or economic abuse, forcibly controlling other people's money and assets and making them pay your own bills. It can involve stealing cash, not allowing the victim to take part in any financial decisions, or preventing a victim from having a job. All these are also forms of violence against women. If you see this cruelty by husband and his relatives, they top the list of crimes against women in India. So if you see from 2016 to 2019, rape is at the top, the cruelty by husband and relatives, and it is at the top. And then following which is the assault on women with an outrage to modesty, after which there is kidnapping and abduction, and then there is the other cases which come. So still the prime among them is cruelty by husband and his relatives. I wonder why women are still getting married to men after seeing all these statistics as well. So if you see along the entire country, the regions with the high, which report the highest level of cruelty by husband and his relatives. If you see from on here, you can see 0 to 75. This is cases per 1 lakh women. Rajasthan, Telangana, Bengal, Assam, and Haryana. These are the states which have got the highest level of cruelty by husband and his relatives. This data is relatively recent. This is in 2022. This is MOSPI data, which is 2022. So an all India average is 20.5% cruelty by husband and his relatives. So does in India people have license to abuse? That they say, some people say that a husband is justified in beating his wife when in which cases she shows disrespect to in-laws, she neglects the house of children, she argues with him, he suspects she's unfaithful. So at least one of these reasons you can see, this is surveyed in 2019 and April 2021. They say at least one of these reasons is there, where the women themselves, they feel that it is okay to get a beating from the husband if I do show disrespect to my in-laws, if I neglect the children, if I argue with him, if I suspect that he's unfaithful, if I go out without telling him. Imagine even going out without telling him, if I don't cook properly or refuse to have sexual intercourse, or if there is any one of the reason also, women feel that there is license to abuse. When gender-based violence can happen to anyone, it can happen to men also, it can happen to women also, anywhere, but women and girls are particularly vulnerable. For instance, the older women, the elderly women, women who identify as lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, that means they are free. Some of people feel that they are okay, it is okay to molest them, or it is okay to abuse them. Migrants and refugees, ethnic minorities, women and girls living with HIV, and those living all through humanitarian crisis. We saw in Israel during the war how women were raped and how they have been harassed. This is a humanitarian crisis during the war. So this itself, that there's been violence against women even in such situations. So only 1 in 10 women would seek help from the police if they experienced any domestic violence. So the rest 9 in 10 women, they go under this, and they are not at all reported. So 1 in 4 women feel more unsafe at home since COVID-19. 1 in 4 women is 25% of us feel unsafe in our own homes since COVID-19. And what are the causes? Many of the misconceptions surrounding violence against women are like, there are myths. Men cannot control their anger or sexual urges. Alcohol causes men to be violent. Women should leave violent partners if they want to. Men experienced equal, if not greater, levels of violence perpetrated by former partners or other gender partners. Research showed that significant drives of violence against women is unequal power distribution and resources between men and women, and an adherence to rigidly defined gender roles. Like kitchen work is to be done by women only means they only have to do it. Earning has to be done by men only means they only have to do it. Like what is masculine and what is feminine, it is defined gender roles, and then there is no breaking away from it. So attitudes that condone or tolerate violence are recognized as a central role in shaping the way individuals, organizations, and communities respond to violence. Let's change our attitudes. Let us bring the change ourselves. We should not condone or tolerate violence. So justify, many of the people, what they do, they justify violence against women based on the notion that it is legitimate for a man to use violence against women, excuse violence by attributing it to external factors. Like when he goes to office, he gets very stressed. His job is very stressful. I'm proposing that men cannot be held fully responsible for their violent behavior because of anger or sexual urges. Trivialize the impact of violence based on the view that the impact of violence are not serious or not sufficiently serious to warrant action by women themselves, the community, or public agencies. Minimalize violence by denying its seriousness. Oh, it's okay. It's after all a slap. We all know that movie in which it was just said that it is after all a slap, denying that certain behaviors are not to be taken very seriously. Shift blame for the violence. Like they say, oh, you dressed very badly. It was, everything was showing. Then what will the poor man do? Sort of shift violence from the perpetrator to the victim or the woman for being partially responsible for their victimization or for not preventing that victimization. So there are various types of violence reported by women. 40% among the 100%, 40% respond say sexual harassment. 50% say verbal abuse, which is very, very common. Though the report, the WHO and UN says it is 50%, I feel verbal abuse is at least 75%, and 36% is physical abuse. Sexual harassment is a very pervasive issue. I can't go into much detail in this. 3 distinct forms: gender harassment, unwanted sexual attention, and sexual coercion, which is there both in the personal as well as professional lives. We deal with it in personal and professional lives. So if we see the accounts of sexual harassment types, physical is about 65% and non-physical more or less verbal or by any other financial or any other type is 43%. So physical sexual harassment, like while they are going up, a tap on the butt or a pinch, this is very, very common. At least 15 to 20 years before, when we were college going students, we never knew whom to complain to. Even if we felt it very bad about it, we couldn't say anything about it. So we used to just ignore and take it in our stride and move ahead. There are counts of emotion categories. 42, like what was the emotion the women came across when they are when they come across violence. Almost 53% was taken by surprise. They didn't expect that particular violence, and 52% had fear. Oh my God, this will increase more. 47% felt very sad about it. 18% got very angry, and 42% said, "Chalo koi kuch nahi, nikal jayenge isse bhi." So they were okay with it. So there are insights from this emotional analysis. Most of the sexual harassment is related to negative sentiments, whereas physical sexual harassment contributes the highest intensity of negative sentiment compared to the non-physical harassment. Fear and surprise emotion both presented in sexual harassment higher compared to sad, happy, or angry. The physical sexual harassment is distributed in a higher range of fear emotion compared with the non-physical harassment. So there are a lot of clouds of nouns that are used in sexual harassment. When the perpetrator talks to the victim, he will use a lot of nouns. These are some of the nouns, word cloud of the nouns that are used during verbal sexual harassment. And these are the verbs. I told you, like these are the ways they talk about it, and they talk to a woman during verbal harassment. Gender harassment is a form of discrimination that aims to hinder women from positions of power in a traditionally male dominated field. Both verbal and non-verbal conduct that seeks to belittle and exclude women based on their gender. It perpetrates gender inequality by creating hostile environment and discourage women from fully participating or advancing in their chosen careers. It manifests, it could be through verbal abuse, derogatory comments, तू नहीं कर पाएगी, तुमसे नहीं होगा इतना सब, discriminatory behavior towards women. Previous studies highlight how patriarchal norms and traditional gender contribute to the gender harassment. Culture emphasis in India, a very big emphasis has to go on the culture, and the concept of honor has become a tool for controlling the women, justifying that. Gender harassment is perpetrated to reinforce the power balance between the man and the women. unwanted sexual attention, in deliberate contact or repetitive request or to attract or express of offensive sexual attraction. It includes unwelcome advances, comments, or inappropriate gestures. It is characterized by the harasser's persistent pursuit of sexual gratification at the expense of the victim's comfort and autonomy. Such behavior not only violates personal boundaries, but is also very intimidating atmosphere that undermines the victim's sense of safety and well-being. Sexual coercion, the harasser abuses the position of power to demand sexual favors, quid pro quo, that is environment, insidious form of harassment, and the power dynamics at play. They exacerbate vulnerability of the victim, the boss, and person working under that person. Or it could be something, one with a higher power to the one with the lower power. So their sexual coercion is there. And remember, it's not exclusive. There is overlapping. It is crucial to recognize that these three categories are not mutually exclusive. They often interact and coexist within instances of sexual harassment. Gender harassment may lay the foundation for unwanted sexual attention or coercion, and it perpetrates the environment where such behavior is normalized or tolerated. Then remember, for a healthy woman, if this is the case, for a woman with a disability, the risk of experiencing violence in a relationship is 10 times higher than a woman without a disability. Even those of us who are healthy and don't have any disability, how much we have to encounter on a day-to-day basis. Then imagine for a woman with disability, they are so vulnerable. The world recognizes the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women on 25th November. It's a day to heighten awareness about the physical, psychological, and the emotional problems that women face worldwide. 25th November. So there was a campaign which was done by Abused Hindu Gods campaign. We all pray to our gods and goddesses. So we have a lot of faith in our gods. So we know that when it is the gods, women as God, during Navratri, during Dashera, we pray to women. So when we see them abused as abused Hindu goddesses, how bad we feel. There was a busting the myth about Hindu violence, that in Hindu culture it is okay to be violent. So there was this abused Hindu goddess campaign. Then there is another thing which is started by a community called Breakthrough. They promote positive bystander action. That is a Bell Bajao campaign, which encountered people to intervene in cases of domestic violence by taking simple action like ringing the bell. Most recent, what they said is ignore no more and dakal do. These are the two campaigns which are through this Breakthrough. They decode the bystander behavior. They say it is no more a matter of those two people who are fighting. It is a bystander also who is responsible for what is happening. So they say ignore no more and dakal do. These are the campaigns that are being run by them. Reducing gender-based violence is a key driver of the progress as across the SDGs. There exist a host of other goals within our SDGs that can work to reduce the structural inequalities and the potential to influence factors that prevent violence. Other goals and targets have indirect influence on preventing the gender-based violence. So these are all our SDG targets. And this is the description. And this is how directly or indirectly they are helping the Indian women, and they are doing their bit to prevent violence against women. Government is really doing a lot to prevent violence against women. These are all the targets of SDG. They have given particularly good environment to the girls and to prevent violence against women. I cannot go into each and every one of these. It's very long. So there are various laws that protect women and their rights. The Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, Special Marriage Act 1954, Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, Indian Divorce Act 1969, Indecent Representation of Women Prevention Act 1986, Maternity Benefit Act 1861, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, Sexual Harassment at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act 2013, National Commission for Women Act 1919, and Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Some other laws like Immoral Traffic Prevention Act 1956, Commission of Sati Prevention Act 1987, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence 2005, Criminal Law Amendment 2013, Indian Penal Code 1816, and Indian Evidence Act 1872. These are all the laws which help prevent violence against women. So there are a lot of remedial measures that we as an individual and organizations and committees of Foxy and Foxy itself can use. We can use the social media to promote or to that women also should be kept safe. We can report if we find any neighbor or anybody else undergoing violence. We can also report. We can be media literate and critical. We can interrupt sexist, homophobic and transphobic language. We can interrupt abuse, stop street harassment, come up with an action plan, recognize the role of gender in violence, stop victim blaming. At least we can do that. Stop victim blaming, stop rape culture, call gender violence what it is, not bullying. It's not bullying, it is gender violence. Educate yourself on the roots of violence. Create safe space to discuss gender violence. If any of your juniors come to you with some complaints, create a safe space wherein they can discuss with you. Confront yourself with your ideas and try to change it. Stop stereotyping men's and women's role, that men only should go out and earn and women should only cook in the kitchen or be in the house and take care of children. Remember, violence is a choice. Be very supportive for those who are victims of violence against women. Be aware of what resources are there for girl and women. Talk to others about ending violence and be a mentor, and understand consent. Before any sexual act, please understand consent. So these are all the remedial measures. The overall remedial measures are: we can help create laws, we can educate the community, we can promote the peaceful resolution of disputes by including the perspective of girls and the women. We can strengthen women's ability to earn and support their household, providing skill training for women. So the overall are sensitizing the public to the disadvantage of early and forced child marriage, highlight the value of girls' education, encourage women to participate in political process, and raise public awareness of the poor conditions some women face, particularly in the rural areas. So let's stop violence against women. There is no excuse now. Now let's come to the other spectrum. The alarming fact that has been observed by the judiciary about the registration of sham cases against the husband and his family members, or both, for the purpose of harassment or extorting money. Women are even resorting to all this. To carry off the said objects, the complaints are registered by overstating the facts, addition of conjunctures, overplaying the financial condition of the husband and the family, and misrepresenting relevant facts and materials. The Supreme Court opined in Rajesh Sharma versus the state of UP that the bulk of cases are filed impetuously and so let us remember that even the other extreme is possible, and we have to keep that in mind. Thank you for a very patient hearing.
Dr. Soni, sir, would you like to comment, sir?
Yes,
Hello.
I will request Dr. Kaji to comment.
Yes.
Hello.
Uh,
Hello.
Dr. Sarfaraz Kazi, you're
Yes.
audible? You're audible.
Yeah, you are audible, Dr. Kaji.
Okay. It's absolutely wonderful talk, Dr. Geeta Balsarkar ma'am, on this complicated issue. I think you completely justify the topic by decoding the violence against women. And you also clear so many myths and so many clouds on this topic. Your in-depth presentation, you cover everything starting from harassment to physical, social, family, psychological, emotional harassment. Here on this platform, I must say that as a responsible citizen of the country, and all our Foxians should come together. We have to join the hands to support this all the harassing woman. And your that slide in which you have represent that only 1 in 10 women seek the help of the police. For that 9 women, we all should join hand together, and we have to educate regarding all these acts and all these laws whatever women coming to our contact, and we as a Foxian, we have to arrange some seminars to educate them regarding their importance of facing this
violence.
Lastly, it's really honored to thank you very much, Dr. Monica Singh ma'am, to invite me for chairing this. Nice to see all the society, and on this, I would like to wish a luck for all the candidates for their candidature. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Monica, and thank you, Dr. Bala Sarkar, for excellent speech.
Soni sir, it is Balsarkar. Valsad.
Balsarkar, yeah.
Valsad, we are from Valsad. My in-laws are from Valsad.
So Balsadkar se Balsadkar ho gaya. Okay. Congratulations.
I will
But
take
only, I am really thankful you have shown many Indian penal code laws, right? But the only few words of concern that sometimes these laws are misused.
Sir, I also said that.
So we should take that this thing also should be taken care.
Well,
Thank you again all.
Thank you, sir. Though the laws are maybe misused by minority, as it always happens, but the dice is heavily loaded against the women. The statistics, the fact today, madam.
No.
Wonderful talk.
I totally agree with
absolutely, sir. Any law, we have the two ends and sides.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yes, of course, sir. We have to see it on an individual basis when it is needed, of course. Geeta madam, that was wonderful talk. You have hit the nail, where it is needed, and you have set the tone tempo for this webinar. Really, I'm very happy that we really thought of you as for this topic, madam. So one just word, if we are not delayed, Monica.
I'm sure, ma'am. Please go on.
Day in, day out, you are amazed. So I think I know a lot about violence against women and all. Today, when I went for rounds, I saw one gravida 8. And imagine, so 4 girl children. Then the obstetric history went like one neonatal death, then one IUD, then one abortion. Now this is the 8th pregnancy. She had to undergo cesarean section because there was transverse lie preterm labor. The male baby is in SNCU, 1.9 kg, and we can see the mother low BMI, malnourished. The whole obstetric history, 4 girl children, then one neonatal death, one IUFD, one abortion. What does it point to? And we had one eclampsia case who was refusing for termination yesterday because the first 2 were girl children, and this, I think maybe someone has told or she has the hunch that it is a male baby. So it took half day for the family to give consent for the termination. Finally, we had to do LSCS. That 1.9 kg, again, male baby was in SNCU, and the patient who's just recovered from eclampsia, her question all the time to us is, how is my baby? And she's crying. And we are seeing so much of this social, especially in case of postpartum, presenting as postpartum psychosis. And we are also seeing this toddy, alcohol, malnourishment, hypokalemias, anemia, everything interrelated with this. So these 3 cases, I just thought, my God. So day in, day out. And the other day we had one abruption, which you told 9 people do not complain. So she went into that category. The OP she did not reveal because we are all kind of sensitized. So the OP doctor has asked repeatedly, did you have any problem, any trauma, anything? So she said no. Then finally in the scan room, she came out with the husband had hit her physically, had thrown her and hit her on the back, and she fell on her abdomen on a sharp object. And there was a huge big one, almost 750 grams of clot with 1 liter of blood inside the uterine cavity. And the baby, she lost the baby. She had to be given 2 blood transfusions. And literally on day 1, she was telling, no, nothing. It commonly happens in homes. Then on day 3, day 4, we informed Sakhi Center. They came, and their approach also is not very aggressive. They say that you don't need to complain. We are there for you. You talk to us at any time. So then she slowly recovered. She kept the number with her. And I also told that you please go ahead and call. It's not always action is taken against the husband. They counsel the husband. You can tell them and you can take whatever help you want and all. Slowly she came around to calling that Sakhi center. So it is like a day-to-day affair, especially when you go down to the districts and into the real India. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Geeta ma'am. It was such a wonderful talk, right from mythology to the stats and then to the law system. I was just wondering one question I had. I saw one of the lowest rates of violence statistically in Tamil Nadu, something like 2.3, and a very high rate in Telangana.
No,
And
no, that is one fallacy is there, ma'am. One thing is Tamil Nadu also has high rates in NFHS 4. That is because the reporting systems are working well. It also means that the one-stop crisis centers are more, people are more supportive, the people are coming out more to complain. So the hidden part comes out.
And
we
another
don't have perfect statistics also. No?
Yes,
That's
yes.
also
No, sir, the statistics can be fallacious because
yeah,
reporting.
exactly.
If there is more
Exactly.
reporting, more violence comes out. If there is no reporting process, it doesn't come out. So
Madam,
that much.
one more question I had for Kiranmai ma'am and Geeta ma'am, that since female education is related to empowerment of the woman, then
Yes.
how come there is a lot of statistics of violence in Western countries also, where the
It is,
women are
I think
educated?
I'll leave it to Geeta madam to answer this.
Why do we see those women getting battered in Europe and US?
Well, it is there across all cultures. Violence against women is there across all cultures, whatever the socio-economic background. It is not necessary that violence is there only in the lower socio-economic background, and in the rich families it is not there. It is in a different form, but it is definitely there. The same can be said to Europe. There are lots of violence, different forms of violence against women there, but there are the other way around, women filing false violence against men. That is also there in the Western world. So
And the type of violence also, maybe in rural and low socio-economic, physical may be more, whereas the other kinds may be more. But across the globe, it is 1 in 3 women. It is the WHO statistics.
Madam, in
And
case
women.
verbal abuse of an educated woman, if she's getting verbally abused, is it reportable? Can you
yes,
report?
It is.
Yes, you can report.
But generally, what happens is there are so many barriers, to reporting.
Proofs.
Yeah, and then the woman also feels, okay, why should I make
family, the adjustment, the children, everything, kind of. But basically, it is a hierarchy, isn't it? All the cultures place men at a little bit higher level in all the cultures. So that kind of gives a little bit of normalcy that you can control the woman.
So, ma'am, like Foxy has got the social security scheme, there should be a help cell in Foxy also, where at least the people connected to us. And I see a lot of gynecologists who have written. There are some WhatsApp and Facebook groups where gynecologists are complaining of being battered by.
There are many, but right now, Dr. Monica, there are 181 helpline is there, which is the one-stop crisis and the government helpline. It is almost like 108 and 100. It is working very, very well. So what we are doing through the committees, connecting through the Sakhi centers and making people aware that this helpline is there, the centralized helpline. One is 181 and the other one is 1091.
Monica, violence is there across all education, across the socio-economic background. In lower socio, it may be directly hitting this. In the upper one, it may be forcing a female feticide, different types of violence, but it is there.
Simply, the family planning choice cannot be, done by the woman in 70-80% of the cases. So whether to go for sterilization, whether to go for an abortion, whether to go for a temporary contraception.
Property.
The family decides.
Mother-in-law and husband
decides. So it's totally against reproductive rights, human rights. It's a human right violation, nothing but a human rights violation.
Madam, this was such a session. I've got goosebumps now. But I think this was very much needed to take this committee and take the program forward, ma'am.
And it is intricately related to women's health.
Yes.
You say infertility, you say maternal health, you say chronic disease, you say mental health. It is intricately related.
Yes, ma'am. You're right, ma'am. And thank you so much, Geeta ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
taking us from your busy schedule. You have done full justice. Nobody could have spoken like the way you did. And
Thank you, Geeta ma'am. Thank you so much.
thank you. And Dr. Neetu, we can
Yes,
proceed
ma'am.
with session 2.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Geeta ma'am. Just it was an eye opener, and we will raise the voice and help you with no violence against women. Now, moving forward to the second session, the speaker for the second session is all of you know that Dr. Jaya Rani Kamraj Madam, respected Madam. She is president of OGSSI, and she will be talking on another very important topic, that is teenage pregnancy. To chair this session, we have two eminent faculties, Dr. Hina Patel Madam. She is president Jamnagar OBGYN Society. She is having some problem in joining the session. She will join in middle. And our next chairperson is Dr. Hiral Pandya Madam. She is Secretary, Bharuch OBGYN Society, and full-time
Yes, ma'am.
consultant at Shivashram Hospital, Bharuch. Hina Madam joined. No, she is having some problem. Some technical problem is there. We are solving. She will join in middle. Now I hand.
Hiral ma'am is there. I think.
Hiral Madam is here. Now I request Hiral Madam to kindly introduce our speaker and carry forward the session.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Monica Madam and the team for giving this opportunity. I was wondering that talking every time about infertility, IVF, laparoscopy, today we are talking of such a sensitive topic, and it is very good to see all the eminent speaker over here. I am very much obliged to introduce ma'am for this talk.
Dr. Hiral, you have got muted. Yeah.
And she has been awarded with many things. She's director award by Dr. MCR, Medical University, Chennai. And she has even got award from Janati Kumar University, first prize in gynecology and obstetrics. She has worked as president, secretary at many places, is council member in World Association of Sexual Health. There are many more feathers, but she's today coming up with such a sensitive topic of teenage pregnancy. And I, being in a small town in Gujarat, deals with such cases day in and day out. So I will be very happy to hear few golden words from her. So welcome, G. Arani Madam, for this topic.
Thank you. Thank you, chairpersons. Thank you, Monica, for making me a part of this wonderful program of yours. I will share my presentation. Is it visible?
And I'm very proud to introduce Dr. Jairani Kamraj. Madam will be now contesting for elections next year for No to Violence Against Women. So I'm just giving just a prelude to her efforts. And Jairani ma'am, we are always with you. And we look forward to having great inputs from you, not only in the talk, but also when you are contesting for elections for this committee.
Thank you, Monica, for your lovely inspiration word. And I'll be happy. And I'm very thankful to Kiran for having all her very energetic work, very committed and very dedicated work, what she's doing for the committee. I'm really very much, not a word, I'm just telling to, from the heart I'm telling, she's been doing a real work for the women. And I'm very happy to be a part of it. And I'm definitely look forward to have more and more work with her and get more inspiration in my lot of qualities of her to work for the women's health. Thank you, Kiran, for making me a part of it. And today, after hearing the very, very sensitive part of the domestic violence against the women, we are now into another talk where we'll be looking into the women's health. So we all know the women's health, though it's the slides are not moving. Is it moving, Monica? Yeah, it's moving. Yeah, fine. So we have to think of one more important aspect of a woman's life is the adolescent pregnancy, because many a times the women's life is determined in this adolescent stage. Any women's life at this stage, if she goes through a lot of issues, both the physical, mental, and psychological way, which she finds it difficult to adapt to the society and the social norms and the changes in her body, which gives a lot of problems to her personal life. And one among is the adolescent pregnancy, which is a very important concern for the women, because she has so much of difficulties if she goes through in the adolescent. The way how she will tune to the adult is really a question, really a challenge. So as a gynecologist, it is our important need to look into the women at the adolescent age group and see an important component of this issue, that is an adolescent pregnancy, which is a real concern for any adolescent girl when she get into the pregnancy at a younger age. And very importantly, we look into the women's life. About 16 million girl children between 15 to 19 years give birth annually. And very importantly, they belong to the lower socioeconomic status. And also they belong to the little educated one, and they are from the rural, and they are from the low income. And definitely our country having more of a rural population. And this adolescent pregnancy is so much prevalent in the developing country, like globally, wherever there is a developing country, they have a teenage pregnancy. And 90% of this teenage pregnancy is from the developing country. And very importantly, this has a greatest impact in the women's life. That is up to 1/5 of the women in the poorest region will have a child at the age of 18. Just imagine. And the risk of dying because of the pregnancy and the pregnancy related causes is so high, almost twice as high as the adolescent aged. This is always double the complications when you compare the pregnancy and the related complication with the older women. And very importantly, they go through a lot of consequences like unsafe abortion and obstructed labor, because they come very late in the pregnancy, in the delivery, and they are not properly monitored, properly supervised, properly given any antenatal care. And all this causes them to go for an unsafe abortion. Nearly around 3.9 million girls between the 15 and 19 die of unsafe abortion. And very importantly, their risk of stillbirth, preterm labor, and also very small for infant delivery and neonatal death, it is almost 50% higher in adolescent women. So in that adolescent pregnancy is really a challenge that every one of us should look into it. And all the more we know pretty well the cause of a maternal mortality is almost more in them, either by a hypertensive disorder or by other pregnancy related complications, which is very high when compared with the older women. And very importantly, they have another important issue of injuries caused either by suicide or by homicide. And they have found out the risk of dying from pregnancy related issues is twice as high when compared to the older women. And very importantly, they die because of homicide, because of violence related injuries, and they are very much highest in the developing country. Very importantly, I want to say, last week I had one patient who was brought by a mother and a grandmother and a father. So she's a 17-year-old pregnancy. She's now 10 weeks pregnancy. They want to abort it. So I just told them that we have to inform for POXO, but they were not willing. They were refusing. And I told them it's better, because they were very much arguing that she's 18 years. So I told them, write the Aadhaar card, she's only 17. So they said, madam, we will not get admitted. We will not go for the POXO. I even asked them that you go to the government hospital, they will do it very nicely, because they came to the private setup. She was brought by one of our staff, very senior staff. I told her about the POXO. Then they refused to have any treatment. They said simply two things. One is they'll go and change the Aadhaar and they'll come with the 19 years. And then I said, if you look at the portal, it will be very difficult. So they left off saying nothing. But 2 days later, I heard the history that the father and the grandmother, they committed suicide because of this girl. She doesn't want to, she wants to continue the pregnancy, and she wants to go with a person who is a cause for this pregnancy. So such is see the pathetic situation that the father, he is having another 2 children and very young one, and her grandmother. They both died. They committed suicide. So such is the very great impact this is teenage pregnancy causing not only the maternal morbidity and mortality, but also very much having an impact on the social life of the family. And very importantly, it also causes an increased risk of so much of morbidity like anemia and all the nutritional defects, and also getting a lot of complications and ending in most of the obstructed labor, ending in VVF and lot of hysterectomies and lot of sepsis. All this is because of the teenage pregnancy. So very interestingly, they go for the fistula. About 50 to 80% of the women in the South Africa between the 12 to 13 years of age, they go for VVF, and also the fistula occurs very much when they are younger than even 15 years. See the impact, how it is going to cause the quality of life for her in the future life, what she's supposed to have. So much of severity, they have a problem, the magnitude of the adolescence pregnancy. And of course, the increased risk of preterm birth, delivery, and also baby born to the adolescent mothers are more likely to be of low birth weight. And the perinatal and the infant mortality is almost doubled when it is compared with the adult mother. So these are the WHO information and the data which really related to the maternal age and the perinatal outcome. They have given the status in the Latin America rigorous study. What they said, the adolescent mothers have a higher risk of regular and very preterm labor, and also they are the one which gives birth to infants with a very low birth weight as well as the small for gestational age, and it causes a early neonatal death. So the potential risk to the adolescent mothers is their life prospects. The pregnancy can bring them, they feel that it get them a married status so that they can live very happily, they can live with a proper support and a proper care, and also they can be looked out in the proper way. But on the other hand, it is always unmarried pregnant adolescent will be driven away by her family or abandoned by her partner and be left with no means to support. This is the plight of many adolescent mothers whom they take that marriage is a way of safety and give them a protection, but unfortunately they end up with this type of abandoning. So when you look into the worldwide socioeconomic conditions for these adolescent women, definitely young women are not prepared for mothers. They would like to continue, in many studies says, but since they are so early, too much less in their education and more of a poverty, they are very having a lot of barrier to succeed in their life. That was the very important statement they come through. So such a bad adolescent pregnancy, such a bad consequences they go through. What make this, where it happens, why it happens? That is the next question arises among the society. One, very interestingly, what they found out, the family, many a times it is a single parent household. They are the one who are more risk of getting this teenage pregnancy. This parent want to get the daughter settled earlier, so they get them married soon. And second, the mothers may themselves be having a lot of dating behavior, so they leave the children to go for the dating and they get pregnant because of that. And very importantly, the positive family interaction is totally not there among the low socioeconomic group of women or the children or the family. And that is the reason they go for this teenage pregnancy. And parental supervision is totally not there among the adolescent pregnancies seen in the women with girls with adolescent pregnancy. And there is a lack of positive parent-child communication seen in most of the adolescent pregnancy. And many times the mother herself would have been a teen parent. So she believes that getting married sooner will be giving her a better settling in the life, better having children in the future, and having a livelihood in a better way. So this is how they look upon it, which are very important factors from the family point of view. Second is the peers. The peer pressure is a very important one for the adolescents to face through. Many a time, the peer pressure is the main cause for very many social problems that the girls and the adolescent boys go through. The sexual peer pressure from the peers are the very greatest one, which force them to go for the sexual act and get a pregnancy. And second, they believe that the peers, everybody should be sexually active, and that gives them more of a quality of a womanhood. That's what they believe. So they get into the sexually activeness and then they go for a pregnancy. And also they have a lot of friends who are sexually active, even if they are not so. Because of the friends' pressure, they go for early dating, and that gets them a pregnancy. Many a times the dating begins very early, even up to from the 13th to 14th year, even in the very much rural areas, it is still very common. And the community culture, very important is the community. There is a lack of accurate sexual and reproductive health information to the children. And also there is a high rate of diverse, violent crime, teen suicides, and high social dropouts, which is happening mainly because of this problem that is seen in the community as a culture. And very important, their income, the socioeconomic status is very low. So they believe that getting married soon or getting married to a person at in a smaller age may give them a good protection and carry them over the future. That is also a very important one. And many times, lot of community coordinated programs for the youth is very much lacking in our community, which is a very important way that we have to look into the policies. That's what we are going to do with the school failure, the dropout rates, job opportunities, social support, positive educational recreational activity, which are totally not there in any of our policies. These are very important reasons that why very many times this adolescent pregnancy and teenage pregnancy happens in the younger way. And coming to the individual as it is, very many times we say that the girl children nowadays, they get puberty even at the age of 10, 11. So early onset of puberty makes them live for a longer time, and the younger age they go face the puberty and changes in the hormones, which make them more sexually active and more attracted to the opposite sex, which is one important reason that even at the youngest age, they get a lot of sexual drive, which make them more sexually active. And many a times our religious and spiritual life, which is very much lacking in the nuclear family, where they don't have the elders to guide them in the spirituality or in the religious way, which also make them more potential to go in for this a teenage pregnancy. And all these drugs, alcohol abuses, they are very much common even in the lowest community, and also in the school, even in the high schools, or in up to the higher secondary, even in the high schools. It's in the 8th standard, 9th standard, we are seeing a lot of children getting into drug use. And that also is a very important reason for this early pregnancy and early sexual intercourse. That is a very important one. And many a times education, lower education, and lack of future oriented goals, because they are in a group of setup where they don't think of the future at all. And for them, only the sexual active and also getting married will be their vision and goal, nothing else. So these are the very important basic facts, right from the family to the individual. We have to look into the as a cause for this teenage pregnancy. And when you look into the first sexual activity, it starts very early, even at the age of 14 in many of the adolescents. And it also mainly seen, which was not previously seen, but many times nowadays, the girls get into the sexually active even at the age of 14, because they get their first menstruation or the puberty even very earlier. So 1/3 of the adolescents get married before 18. That is the present data released by the WHO. So what are the circumstances in which the pregnancy occurs? We have seen the causes. So it is a very much sex within the marriage, which could be an intended and unintended pregnancy, ultimately causing an adolescent pregnancy. And second, it can be due to a sex outside the recognized union, which also could be a cause. And when you look into the National Research Council of Institute of Medicine, which has released the data, they have seen almost a pregnancy is more in the developing countries. Almost it is up to 70 to 80% of the pregnancies happening in the developing countries are mainly under the age of 18. So this is the state in the younger group of children. And if you look into the age where they have the first sex, how they are, what is the reason is when the first sex, and also it is the first sex which has been mostly, it is by the force or the abuse or the sexual violence. If you look into the countries, what they have made is, if this less than 15, it is so rampant up to 35 to 40%. It is the first sex which happens below the age of 15. Usually it is because of the sexual abuse or sexual violence or even a coerced sex. And that is the reason for the pregnancy which is happening. So it is always a very important step for us to think all these data to what we have to plan, how we can do the interventions. What is the right intervention that we have to see to that? what kind of advocacy which we can make into the family and the communities, which is very important as a right intervention. It should start with the families and next to the communities. We have to give them a proper education to the adolescent children for a proper study and a proper work. And we have to enhance their capacity to make a proper decisions, which is also very important, even if there is a sex within the marriage or even about the consensual sex. We have to have a proper, make the adolescents know about the capacity to make a well-informed, judicious choice of preferences, increase their value, give them a proper educational support, which are very important to prepare them mentally and the physically. And it is very important regarding the sexual abuse and the sexual coercion. We have to give them a safety net, which should be the second. Many a times, the pregnancy happens in a non-consensual sex. The consensual sex within the marriage, recognized persons, it is all with a consent. But there are very many pregnancies which happens in a non-consensual sex. We have to provide a safety net, which is very important from the point of the healthcare providers. So there is our important role as a healthcare providers. We have to give them a proper safety net, especially in the form of emergency contraceptive pill, because very many times the sex happens because of sexual abuse and sexual violence. So we have to give them emergency contraception, and we have to give them safe abortion services. That is a very important one. And also a post-abortion care. These three are very important. WHO says that it is every healthcare worker should provide a proper contraceptive care to any victims which when they come with a sexual abuse or sexual coercion or a rape, which may end in a future teenage pregnancy. So we have to look into this way. And second way, even if they are getting the first pregnancy, we have to educate them so that we can prevent the subsequent pregnancies in the next time. That is also very importantly, we have to look into it. And thirdly, we have to have a proper intervention in the form of a good support, mainly for the sexual coercion. When we have to look into it, we have to break the silence, we have to support the girl, we have to help the girl, we have to give her a proper courage to come out of this sexual coercion and fight it out vigorously. This is mainly very important because many a times this has not been disclosed. Many a times the sexual violence or the abuse happens within the close relatives or in the close family setup or in a close friends group. So in that way, many a time the girl will not be so much courageous to come out with her to talk about it. So we have to give them a positive support, especially when there is a sexual coercion, to fight it vigorously, which will definitely help them to look into it. So we have to bring the perpetrators to the justice, mobilize the public opinion to be intolerant of it, protect the girls and the women from sexual harassment and coercions in the education institutions, in the workplace, and in other community settings, and empower them to protect themselves and ask for and get the help when they need. That is very important. We have to look into it. So as a whole, we have to look into the policymakers, to the community, the family, as an individual women. We have to provide them all the facility for which they have to be properly equipped, and we have to give them the facility when they're coming with the pregnancy. So when till this time, we are preventing the pregnancy, but even when they come with the pregnancy, we have to give them a proper antenatal care and support, which is very important. We have to give them a proper antenatal care in a well-equipped center. We have to give them a skilled care. We have to treat them with utmost care because they have more complications and their pregnancy will be more complicated. So we have to give them a proper antenatal care and refer them to higher centers where the facilities are available to take care of their pregnancy in a proper way, advise them and give them the proper support. So with this, we are taking into account of what are the education we have to give them, what are the support we give them, what are the contraceptive care we have to give for them, and how we have to treat them in their pregnancy care, which is very important. And very interestingly, there are a lot of Millennium Development Goals which WHO provided for the adolescents to prevent the pregnancy. So we have to give them a proper maternal care so that we can prevent the maternal mortality. and also prevent the perinatal and the infertile mortality. And also we have to give them a proper pregnancy treatment. This is very important when we address the adolescent pregnancy as a Millennium Development Goal to prevent the childhood mortality and morbidity. That is a very important one. And we have to improve the contraceptive use in the adolescent, which is a very much unmet need, which we look into the women's and the adolescent age group. So in the developing country, if you look into the contraceptive care, which is very much on the lower level, so we have to educate them, give them the proper contraceptive care. So as a whole, we have to be aware of the factors that can influence the teen pregnancies, and we have to educate the parents, teens, and the communities to work together to prevent and reduce the teen pregnancy. It is not only through these combined efforts that we can continue to work progress in providing the teens the necessary tools to make good choices and reduces the unplanned teenage pregnancy. That is very important. We have to provide them. And very interestingly, we have to prevent them and give them the best antenatal care so that the pregnancy related complications can be looked into in a best way, so that they can be given a good antenatal care and give them a good skilled assistance for the delivery, and also give them a proper support to prevent the next pregnancies if they are really under 16 or 17 years of age. So we need a multifaceted approach, which should be ensuring the adolescent to get the good health information and services what she needs. So we need to ensure the contraceptive services, antenatal services, and skilled care, and we need to ensure that these services are accessible to all the adolescents anywhere in the part of the country. And we need to ensure that the healthcare providers who provide these services are trained, and they have to be supported to respond to the adolescent competently with almost sensitivity. That is also very important we have to do. And to the last word, which is a very interesting word that I want to tell you, that is the former Assistant Director of International Planned Parenthood Federation, Dr. Pramila Senmanayake. She said that about the adolescent pregnancy, she commented, for too long when an adolescent becomes pregnant, we have pointed the finger at her, but it is the time that we point the finger at ourselves. If a girl gets pregnant, that is because we have not provided her with the information, education, and training and support what she needs to prevent herself becoming a pregnant. So with this verse, I thank you one and all for giving me this opportunity, and we all should work with as a team, as a multifaceted approach for educating the adolescent to give them a good contraceptive care. And even if it fails and she comes with a pregnancy, we have to give her a skilled assistance to make her deliver in a safest way and give them a good abortion care. Of course, we have the POXO awaiting. That is also very importantly, we have to educate them about the POXO so that all the adolescent girls will be aware of POXO. That will make them take a sensitive or a sensible decision to postpone their first sexual act, thereby preventing the teenage pregnancy. So with this word, I thank you one and all for the patient listening. Thank you.
Has Dr. Hina joined? Dr. Neetu?
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Hiran, would you like to summarize?
Yes, ma'am.
the
I
talk?
would. Yes, ma'am. I
Yeah.
would like to say a few words for ma'am. Ma'am, it was a wonderful talk, and
Hiral
few
ma'am?
things. The last line that before
No,
pointing
ma'am,
finger
she
to
has
her,
been at her. Ma'am?
Hina madam is joined. Hina madam is joined. I shall continue, ma'am, because
Yeah,
there is
please.
some disturbance.
No,
No,
please
ma'am.
continue, Hiran.
Yes, ma'am.
Please continue.
Yes, ma'am. The last line was true, very true, that before pointing finger to her, we should see that the four fingers are towards us. Second thing, the whole session or the whole say was telling that reach to the unreached. And there were many good points which, madam, you have pointed out regarding the number one is counseling. One more thing which I also used to face is that changing of Aadhaar card with the dates. I have also come across so many cases in which she has come with another Aadhaar card with less than 18 years of age, being married, being pregnant. Just because I told that in spite you are married and you are below 18 years, we need to register. she had removed or thrown all the papers, and she had come with another Aadhaar card, and I could easily recognize her by face, but I don't have any evidences to say that she's below 18. There are many glitches over it, but together we can do wonderful thing. And madam, it was really indeed a nice session from your side. Thank you very much for enlightening us with teenage pregnancy do's and don'ts. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Jairani ma'am. Yeah, the guidelines you have enlightened us to were very, very good guidelines, because I took similar guidelines from WHO where I was doing some, antenatal and interventions to improve perinatal outcomes. So I took WHO guidelines, which dwelled on Saharan, sub-Saharan African continent, as well as the Southeast Asia statistics, which somehow match with each other. So, madam, you have taken a very, very relevant topic, because we have to educate in fact, just about 15 days back, I went to NSS camp. There were 400 girls from NSS who had come together to Bhopal for a summer camp. I was specially called by commanding officer, who is brother of my senior in Bhopal. She's anesthetist, and he called me to explain these girls about sex education, about teenage pregnancy, about contraception. Because these girls are in NSS, they are traveling, they have got cadets, they are staying away from home for so long. So if they get into trouble because of the sexual exposure is not a problem. That we have to keep in mind, that every girl is getting exposed to sex at a very early age nowadays. But now the important thing is to train her not to get pregnant. How she can protect herself from unwanted pregnancy, that is very important. Thank you.
Dr. Monica, Dr. Jairani, wonderful talk. I think we have had this talk before also. And from the committee side, I think this preventing or doing our bit towards teenage marriages and teenage pregnancy. This we are coming up with some soon in future, some activity, some module, because we see that teenage pregnancy, both the marriages before 18, as well as POXO, unmarried and abuse. All these are coexisting, and they interrelate and intersect with violence and so many issues. So, thank you, Monica. Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Jairani ma'am.
Thank you.
Wonderful talk. And thank you, Kiranmai ma'am, for that wonderful committee program with us again. And now I think we have now a talk which is slightly different from the other topic, but it is very, very important to safe motherhood, because ultimately now when this patient is pregnant and she is, traversing the trimesters of pregnancy, she suddenly lands up in FGR. So we will get, fresh updates about FGR from Dr. Poonam Goel, Chairperson, Safe Motherhood Committee. Welcome, ma'am.
Now I hand over the session to my co-coordinator, Dr. Nandini Singh, to carry forward the session.
Thank you, Ma. Good evening to one and all. Our next session is on the fetal growth restriction updates by our esteemed speaker, Dr. Poonam Goel, ma'am, and the session will be chaired by our honorable chairpersons, Dr. Aruna Suman, ma'am, and Dr. Monica Singh, ma'am. Dr. Aruna Suman, ma'am, Madam is National Coordinator for No to Violence Against Women Committee. She is a professor and head of Department of Gynae in the Government Medical College, Jagtilal, Telangana. She has been the organizing secretary in our last Hyderabad AICOG conference, which we attended in a large number. She is a member of Practical Obstetric Committee, and she has been South Zonal Coordinator and a member of Adolescent Committee. And she has been Vice President of Gynae Society of Hyderabad. Our next chairperson, Dr. Monica Singh, ma'am. Madam is consultant in reproductive medicine at Bhopal Fertility and IVF Center.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's enough. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's an honor.
So
now I request
Aruna ma'am can introduce Dr. Poonam.
Yes.
I think I have already been introduced. Hello, Aruna ma'am.
Hi. Hi,
Millennium
Dr.
people.
Poonam. Let me have the pleasure of introducing you again. Actually, thank you very much, Dr. Monica, for this opportunity. I thank Dr. Kiran Mai and Dr. Poonam for this great opportunity to be with you all today. I'm very glad. I feel happy to introduce Dr. Poonam Goel, a good friend of mine. She's HOD, IVF and Infertility Max Super Speciality Hospital, Vaishali, Delhi, NCR. It's a tertiary care facility, director and HOD OB-GYN at Panchsheel Hospital, NABH, which is 80-bedded hospital, and she's chairperson, we all know, Foxy State Motherhood Committee, ICOG Governing Council member, executive member of EDGF. She has been edited many books and authored books on clinical focus series PCOS, algorithm in management of high-risk pregnancy, current trends in labor management, C2D conception to delivery, and endometriosis, fibroids. Yes, she's got many awards. Appreciation Award Legends of Gynecology 24, MS Signature Award 23, International Foxy Achiever Award 23, Corona Barrier Award by Delhi State 21, Asia GCC Iconic Healthcare Leader Award 21. Oh my God, Poonam, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Azad Excellence Award 2019, IMA National President Appreciation Award 2019, and Wanda Foxian Award. I welcome you and please.
Thank you so much. Nobody has ever read my CV like this. Love you.
Thank you, Poonam. Love you too.
So just starting to share my screen. Is it visible?
Not yet, ma'am.
Not
yet.
Not yet.
Now it is.
Please put it in the slideshow.
Yes, I'm putting it. Is it okay now?
Not in the slideshow, ma'am.
Slideshow ही है अभी.
Yes,
मेरे computer पे तो slideshow. चलिए. So after such an emotional and heavy topic, which is so close to our hearts, we'll move on to FGR, an update on FGR. So this slide is not moving now. Let me check. Slide is not moving. Yes. So how to define FGR? FGR is defined as the failure of the fetus to meet its genetically predetermined growth potential due to a pathological factor, which most commonly is placental dysfunction. But here the problem is that this growth potential is a hypothetical thing. Nobody knows what is the growth potential of the fetus which has come. So how do we go about it? So we do some stratification in the first trimester and try to predict. At the time of first antenatal visit, we screen out on the basis of medical and obstetric history that this particular patient can go into FGR. Then we do biochemical markers at the time of anti-scan, that is dual marker. And in dual marker, there is a report of PAP-A. If PAP-A is less than 0.4 nanogram per liter, then it shows that this particular patient may have problems in future in this particular pregnancy. Then ultrasound-based biomarkers are there, that is uterine artery Doppler. If the PI of uterine artery Doppler is more than 1.75, then we can predict with moderate accuracy that this patient can go into FGR. Now we do gestosis score also. It is better to calculate that. And the women who are at high risk of preeclampsia, because these PIH preeclampsia will obviously lead into placental mediated FGR later on. So we predict at first trimester. So then what are the factors which affect the fetal growth? They can be fetal related, they can be maternal, they can be placental. The fetal factors are sometimes there are chromosomal anomalies, there are malformations, and in multiple gestation cases, Then placental factors are abnormal invasion of the placenta, chronic abruption of the placenta, filamentous cord insertion, circumvallate placenta, and presence of chorioangioma. Then maternal are, it can be genetic or constitutional. Suppose a mother herself is 40 kg in weight, obviously she will not produce a fetus of 3 kgs. Then nutrition, starvation, hypoxia due to any reason in mother, then vasculopathies in mother, renal conditions, antiphospholipid syndrome, environmental factors, use of various drugs in mother due to some conditions, then infections if there are any. So what are the placental factors? Among all the causes, the placental factor is the hallmark in pathophysiology of FGR, and that is placental insufficiency. So what happens whenever there is placental insufficiency due to various reasons like abnormal genes, idiopathic infection, toxins, multiple gestation, maternal diseases, maternal age, high altitude, maternal infections, smoking, undernutrition, all this will lead to placental insufficiency. And this will then do the reduction in the nutrient transport to the fetus. As a result, there will be FGR in the fetus, obviously. So now, what is most important for us? It is important for us to have the exact fetal age, because there may be different chronological age of the fetus and the growth of the fetus may be different. So we need to remember that all babies are not having FGR, even if they are having lesser weight. These are the SGA babies. A fetus is considered to be a SGA when its size falls below a predefined threshold for its gestational age. In SGA babies, the estimated fetal weight or AC is below 10th percentile of the given reference range. But all other parameters are normal, like all Doppler findings, etc., are absolutely normal. That means that is small for gestational age baby. And all babies who are having weight less than 2.5 kg are considered to be low birth weight babies. So now why FGR has become concern from us? Because there is incidence of stillbirth which increases in SGA babies. Then perinatal mortality and morbidity is also high in SGA babies as compared to the normal babies. Then FGR obviously is important. 72% of unexplained fetal deaths occur due to FGR. So to understand the concept of FGR and to diagnose FGR, we must have the knowledge of this fetal circulation. In fetal circulation, there are two shunts which are important. That is ductus venosus and ductus arteriosus. So that is the basis for us to know the fetal circulation, because with that, then when we do the Doppler study, then we can diagnose our FGR cases. Then fetal response to hypoxia and acidosis, how it happens. Whenever there is hypoxia or acidosis, the aortic body chemoreceptors get stimulated. Because of that stimulation, the reflex distribution of fetal cardiac output occurs. There is increased flow to some organs, whereas there is decreased flow to some organs. Flow is increased in brain, heart, and adrenals, and flow is decreased in kidneys, leading to oligohydramnios to lungs. If the flow is less, that fetus may go into RDS. If gut is involved, then there is necrotizing enterocolitis in these babies. And when the body stores are less, then FGR will happen. So this is the final common pathway when hypoxia happens. So now types of FGR. The early onset FGR is considered to be less than 32 weeks and late onset FGR is more than 32 weeks of gestation. Now to differentiate between the two, the early onset FGR, the prevalence is less, that is around 30%, whereas late onset is in 70% of the fetuses. Then fetus may be very small on ultrasound when it is early, and fetus may not necessarily be very small in late onset cases. In early onset, the ductus venosus PI is abnormal. In late onset, there is MCA flow redistribution, and the cerebral blood flow is thus affected. Biophysical profile may be abnormal in both the cases. The hypertensive disorders are much more common in early onset FGR, and it is relatively less common in late onset, but can be present. The poor placentation, then implantation, the maternal vasculopathies like spiral artery abnormalities, etc., is there in early onset cases. It is less specific placental findings in late onset cases. Mainly the altered diffusion of nutrition is there in late onset cases. The high perinatal mortality is there, whereas low perinatal mortality in late onset cases, but morbidity is there. So now, how come ultrasound helps us in diagnosis? The steps in appropriate evaluation are: first, number one, we have to assign the fetal age. Then we have to assess the fetal size with biometry on our ultrasound machine. And this should be done in a very specific way. Whatever the designated planes are there for AC, BPD, femur length, they should be measured exactly in that way. Otherwise, false fetal weight estimation will occur. Then we should exclude all the anomalies, and we should also assess the amniotic fluid and must do color Doppler. All growth scans must be done with color Doppler, not without that. And biophysical profile should be assessed in around more than 30 or 32 weeks fetuses. So the most important single point is that assign fetal age when the patient is coming to you in first trimester. This you can do by your first scan, which you do at 8 to 9 weeks or 7 weeks of gestation, or if that scan has been missed, then at the time of the NT scan. So first trimester, the fetal age should be assigned. So what happens? Sometimes the patient comes to you and you do the scan and you find that there is a difference of 5 to 7 days. So if that difference in the LMP and your ultrasound estimated date is less than 1 week, then LMP is good enough for us to go ahead. But if the difference is of more than 1 week, then we should reassign the EDD and LMP, then considered as a mistaken date pregnancy. So now if the patient has come to you between 14 to 20 weeks of gestation and she doesn't have exact date or not sure of date still, so whatever LMP she has given to you, if the date, ultrasound date comes out to be different by more than 10 days, then we should reassign the date and consider it as a mistaken date pregnancy. Now there can be patients coming from 21 weeks to 26 weeks of gestation. That is when you are doing the level 2 scan and you find the difference of more than 14 days and you don't have any previous scan and she is not sure of her dates. So you can consider it mistaken date pregnancy. But in these particular patients, if you still have any doubt, they should be followed up serially to know that there is no FGR. This is just mistaken dates. So now, very rarely this happens nowadays that a patient coming to you beyond 26 weeks of pregnancy and she is not sure of any dates or nothing, or she is giving you some date which is not reliable. In that case, what we do? We do the 8% rule. That is, suppose a patient is coming to you with telling you the LMP and the dates by LMP are 182 days. By ultrasound, you find she is 24 weeks, that is 168 days. The actual difference between the two will come out to be 14 days. Now, the expected margin of error in your measurement is 8%. So 8% of 182 days is 14.56 days. So actual difference is actually less than the expected difference. Then we will keep the same date as we have been told about the LMP. So that is how we do our dating if there is a problem, or otherwise best to fix the date and confirm that is in the first trimester. Now, how to diagnose FGR? It is based mainly on the International Delphi Consensus. All guidelines follow the Delphi Consensus. The early onset FGR is when the gestational age is less than 32 weeks in absence of congenital anomalies, of course, then AC and estimated fetal weight is less than third centile, or umbilical artery Doppler shows absent and diastolic flow. If any of these is present, clearly, without even thinking, it is a case of early onset FGR. Or another scenario is when AC or estimated fetal weight is less than 10 centile. So when it is combined with abnormal Doppler, that is uterine artery Doppler more than 95 centile PI, or umbilical artery Doppler shows PI of more than 95th centile. So less than 10 centile or something between 3 to 10 centile combined with abnormal Doppler, it is less than 32 weeks, it is a case of FGR. Now, late onset cases. Gestation age is more than 32 weeks in absence of congenital anomalies, of course. Then here again, the same thing, same criteria we take, that is AC and estimated fetal weight is less than third centile, or at least 2 of these 3 are if present. That is, if the weight or the AC is less than 10 centile, or the AC or estimated fetal weight cross 2 quartiles. That is, suppose you had done the scan. In the first scan, suppose the AC or the estimated fetal weight comes out to be 75 percentile. But now, after 2 to 3 weeks, when you do your next scan, this 75 percentile has come down to 25 percentile. That means this fetus is having FGR. Or the cerebroplacental ratio is coming to be less than 5 percentile, or umbilical artery Doppler is going more than 95th centile. So these are your criteria of diagnosing the cases of FGR. So now how do we do the surveillance of FGR pregnancies? Important is to do the biophysical profile scoring. The biophysical profile score can predict both fetal pH and the outcome of that pregnancy. A score of less than 4 is associated with fetal pH of less than 7.2. That is fetal acidemia, while a score of less than 2 has a sensitivity of 100% for acidemia. So another tool you have, which is very important these days, that is cardiotocography. And in cardiotocography, what you need to note is the short-term variation. This short-term variation you will get in only computerized CTG machines, not in the your regular machines, which we were getting earlier. The fetal heart rate, STV, is a biophysical parameter obtained by computerized CTG that reflects autonomic nervous system. In FGR, there is reduced fetal heart rate variation, and thus there are reduced levels of STV. So in managing FGR fetuses, this STV reading has now become very important. Now, the STV or the CTG we do between around 26 weeks to 38 weeks of gestation, I would say. Then when the STV reading is less than 2.6, then the metabolic acidemia chances are 10.3%, and chances of going the patient into IUD is almost 25%. If you are leaving this particular patient, then very strict monitoring is required. Then if the STV is between 2.6 to 3, then the acidemia chances are 4.3, and same is the IUD rate. If it is more than 3, then 2.7% of fetus going into acidemia, and there are no chances of going fetus into IUD because of hypoxia. Then other tools are some placental proteins that we earlier discussed in our first slide, that PAPA is a biomarker. And whenever there is a problem in PAPA, you can go ahead with the PLGF. And now SFLIT we are measuring, that is soluble FMS like tyrosine kinase 1. The ratio of these two can predict preeclampsia, and this eclampsia can obviously will lead to FGR. Then another important thing is to measure amniotic fluid index. The reduction in AFI supports the evidence of a hostile intrauterine environment. amniotic fluid volume monitoring is very helpful in monitoring the physiological state of the fetus rather than the anatomical growth. So how does Doppler helps us in cases of FGR? So Doppler helps that it gives us the etiology of FGR, whether it is placental or non-placental, to identify hypoxia and fetal adaptation, to plan the timing of delivery, to identify fetuses at risk of perinatal complications. So it helps us mainly in the timely diagnosis of FGR and also management. We just cannot go without Doppler. Now, which vessel we study? On the maternal side, we study mainly the uterine arteries. On the placental side, we study the umbilical artery. Then fetal side, we study arterial vessels is mainly which we do is the middle cerebral artery. Fetal aorta sometimes, but routine scans, we don't do this. Then for venous, we do the ductus venosus and umbilical vein in very, late cases. So these are the, every vessel, whether it is a uterine artery, umbilical artery, or MCA, or even aorta, all these have a very specific pattern. And we should all be aware of all these patterns. In this umbilical artery flow, you can see that the first picture shows the normal flow, second shows the absent end diastolic flow, and third picture shows the reversal of diastolic flow. And in uterine artery, in the first upper picture, you see that there is very good diastolic flow, which is, more than kind of 50% of the systolic flow. But when there is a resistance to flow, you can see in the lower graph that the diastolic flow has decreased. And it is opposite to this in MCA. First, there is a less diastolic flow, then there is redistribution, and once the fetus has crossed the redistribution state, then there is absence of almost diastolic flow, which will give you totally abnormal CTGs in these fetuses. So what we stick to the Barcelona criteria for following the patients and then planning the delivery. We stick to Barcelona stages. The stage 1 is when the fetal weight is less than 3rd centile, that is the patient is having FGR. Then the uterine artery PI is more than 95th centile, umbilical artery is also 95th centile, and MCA and cerebroplacental ratio both are going less than 5 centile. So this is the first Barcelona stage. Now coming to stage 2. Stage 2 is severe placental disease where there is absent end diastolic flow in umbilical artery or there is reversal in aortic flow. So stage 3 is when the acidosis has actually happened, have started happening, the like early acidosis. In these cases, there is reversal of end diastolic flow in the umbilical artery and the DV is more than 95th centile in these patients. And in stage 4, when there is severe acidosis, there will be reversal of A wave and totally abnormal computerized CTGs at stage 4. And it will be difficult to save the baby in these. The staging system, which came in from this, they said that the comparison of outcome data for FGR fetuses, it is very valuable in determining more timely delivery for the high-risk fetuses. That is why we should stick to this Barcelona staging for following the patient. So how do we follow? The stage 1, we do the Doppler and the ultrasound biometry, etc. weekly basis. And we aim to take the patient to 37 weeks of gestation. In stage 2, 34 weeks of gestation, we want to take the patient. And the monitoring is done every 2 to 3 days. That is bi-weekly almost. In stage 3, we can take the patient till 30 weeks of gestation. And almost 1 to 2 days, we need to do the Doppler study and the ultrasound. In stage 4, maximum we can take the patient is up to 26 weeks of gestation or so, not later than that. And every 12 hour, if you are keeping that patient, every 12 hour you have to do, it gives you time for giving max self and things like that, because that will be helpful in saving the fetus. So what is our aim? Our aim is to have a live fetus, but not only the live fetus, but the intact survivability also. That fetus which has come live should survive also. So the risk of intrauterine compromise has to be weighed against the potential risk from iatrogenic premature delivery. So we have to give a very judicious decision in prolonging the pregnancy or terminating the pregnancy. So this chart has been given by ISOC. They say that if the pregnancy is 26 weeks to 34 weeks of gestation, then at 26 to 29 weeks, or in all these, suppose you see that there is positive Doppler, that is reversal or absent end diastolic flow, and we are monitoring the patient every 2 to 3 days. We need to deliver the patient in 26 to 29 weeks cases. If the STV is going less than 2.6, we need to deliver from 29 to 32 weeks. If the STV is going less than 3, and we need to deliver from 32 to 34 if STV is less than 3.4. And if it is less than 4.5 and fetus has already crossed 34 weeks, so why wait? We need to deliver those fetuses and deliver if there is spontaneous repeated unprovoked desolations are there in CTG. There is altered biophysical profile and the score is almost less than 4 and some maternal indication if present, then we need to deliver. Then in fetuses which are from 36 weeks to 38 weeks of gestation, we need to deliver if the umbilical artery PI is more than 95th centile, or if there is estimated fetal weight or AC is less than 3 percentile. So that means the environment is already very hostile and fetus can stay very well when it comes out. So why to prolong the pregnancy? And in 38 to 39 weeks, if there is any sign of cerebral redistribution, we need to deliver. And we need to deliver the fetus if there is spontaneous repeated unprovoked desolation, altered biophysical profile score, STV less than 4.5, any reading of absent end diastolic flow or reversal in umbilical artery, then any maternal indication. So this is much simpler version. That is, you monitor from 24 to 28 weeks of gestation. You see the abnormal Doppler and the abnormal biophysical profile. Discuss it with family. Refer to the tertiary care center and deliver after giving Maxelf and your steroids. 28 to 32 monitoring as Barcelona stage. Arrested fetal growth has happened, absent or reversal flow is there, abnormal DV, abnormal BPP. We give the steroids, deliver and provide the neonatal care, which may not need that much tertiary care center as a 26-weeker will need. Then 32 to 34 weeks, we monitor if there is arrested growth or if there is oligohydramnios, abnormal CTG, and any absent or reversal flow in umbilical artery, we need to deliver the fetus. So what antenatal treatment we have? We don't have much treatment, as we all know, except, you give IV fluid, amino acids, you can give oxygen, you can give proper rest. Then there is a role of aspirin that we all know, and we start it at before 16 weeks of gestation, 150 bedtime. If any sign of positivity there, like PI is high, PAPA is low, if the gestosis score is more, then we can give progesterone, we can give heparin. Sildenafil studies, they don't support, though some people still give, but studies don't support. L-arginine, etc. we all give. Major thing is to do the monitoring, to give the steroids and to give the Maxelf. So this is the slide I think we all love, if you all are with me. And the conclusions, we suspect FGR from history and clinical examination. So we do ultrasound with Doppler and study the readings in percentiles. So this is very important. If your radiologist is giving you readings in this week's, that week's, that is not to be considered. Please resend the patient, because most of the machines are giving readings in centiles, which are not being used by the radiologist in giving you the reports, because it requires a little more work now. And early FGR is less than 32 weeks if AC and estimated fetal weight is less than 3%, or there is uterine umbilical artery absent and diastolic flow, or there are Doppler changes with 3 to 10 percentile. Late is also same, less than 3 percentile, but more than 32 weeks. It is a FGR, and growth declining to 2 quartiles, that is by 50 percentile, or abnormal Doppler with 3 to 10%. Monitor pregnancy with ultrasound, Doppler, biophysical profile, and CTG. That should be preferably computerized CTG. Then Barcelona staging is best to monitor and deliver the patient timely. Magsulf and steroids should be given as per the need. Diagnosis and intervention, if done timely, will give you the best outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Poonam. That's an excellent, elaborate presentation. Each slide of yours has given us a good practice points. It's very, very good slide. Your slides were very excellent. I don't know how you made it. And each speaks about the subject very, very well. And thank you for telling us about the Barcelona classification. And thank you very much for telling about the antepartum fetal surveillance. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Monica.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. Your talk was one of the favorite topics like throughout our study of ultrasound and fetal medicine. This is the topic which catches the attention maximum because it really correlates with your clinical findings, and ultrasound proves to be the biggest tool you have. So this is the power of ultrasound, I think, ma'am. And you have highlighted it so beautifully, definitely with very, good, quirky and very simple slides, simple illustrative slides. So when we see it in the form of figures and diagrams, it really goes into the brain, ma'am. So thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. You have done full justice to the topic. And madam, now we have Dr.
I took pictures of your slides, some of them, and posted in our.
मैं आपको भेज दूंगी. I will send you.
But anyway, you were too good. I mean, very.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Kiranmai, ma'am, with your permission, we have got one chairperson who has joined now, Dr. Hina Patel. Madam is here, so can you introduce her, Dr. Nandini? And she can summarize all the talks. I know Dr. Hina Patel is a very senior member of SOGOG, and she has a problem joining through the Zoom link. So now she's here. I think we have to, give around madam some time to speak and address us.
Good evening to one and all.
Yes, please carry on.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Hina, it's an honor to introduce you, ma'am. Madam is the professor of Shansaba Medical College in Amreli. She has been the professor and head of department of MP Shah Government Medical College, Jamnagar. She has been a UG PG examiner in various colleges. Madam is an esteemed president of Jamnagar Obsgynae Society. She has twice been elected as a president. She has delivered her various guest lectures as panelist in various state and national conferences, and delivered her oration talk in SOGOG in 2010 in Anand. It's an honor to have you, ma'am. Please enlighten us.
Thank you, madam. I'm sorry I could not. I hope you're able to hear me.
Yes,
ma'am. I'm sorry I couldn't chair the previous session, which I was supposed to do. And but it was nice. I heard something about fetal growth restriction, and I congratulate Monica ma'am for such a wonderful webinar on different topics like violence against women, and also the other topics. But I think I'm very sorry. for not joining earlier. And next time I will try to join in time. And you have a wonderful faculty. Subject of teenage pregnancy, I could not chair, but looking to the CV of Madam, I think she was the right person to talk about teenage pregnancy. And teenage pregnancy, though nowadays we think that it is a problem, it was a problem of lower socioeconomic people, but now even in the affluent class also we get this teenage pregnancy, and it has to be worked about by our obstetricians and gynecologists. Thank you, ma'am, Dr. Monica Singh, and I wish her good luck for her future endeavor. Thank you once again, madam.
Ina ma'am, we would request you to stay back for the panel. It has got good questions on sexual abuse and POXO Act, and we would like to you to stay on as expert, madam. Please, ma'am.
Okay, madam. Okay, now I'll
our president, Bhopal Obsgynae Society President, Dr. Anita Srivastav has joined. Dr. Anita, ma'am, please unmute yourself and please say a few words. Both the chairpersons would like to meet you.
Good evening, Monica. You are doing a nice job. And you are conducting all these Symbiosis series with all the different topics, connecting all the people from all over the India, and they are delivering nice talk and nice presentations. All the topics selected by you are very nice. So I just wish you good luck for your future endeavor and wish you that you will be selected as a Meritocracy Committee chairperson. Okay.
Madam, you can invite the dignitaries for the conference we are holding.
Okay, if you permit me, so that will be fine.
Please,
we are conducting a Vice President conference in July 12, 13, and 14 at Bhopal, and you all are invited. We'll be very much delighted to have you here, to hear from you, to gain knowledge from you, and to connect with you. And you will love our hospitality, our cultural, our academics, and the enthusiasm of my society people. Monica is my vice president, and you can see how enthusiastic she is. And our whole team is very much willing to share all the things with you. Please come to Bhopal. Please join us.
So this is a personal.
Definitely, we will be coming.
And Dr.
Earlier
Monica
also came, ma'am. That was also very great.
Dr. Monica, please give me permission to invite everyone to Foxy Figo conference, which is happening in Hyderabad, 24th and 25th of August. We welcome you, Dr. Kiran Mai and myself.
July में आ जाइए आप.
Please, every one of you come.
जुलाई में आप लोग यहाँ आइए, हम आएंगे वहाँ पर.
Sure, Dr. Anita. Yes.
And previous to Bhopal Foxy Vice President Conference, we have at Surat Foxy Vice President Conference 1 week before that. I invite all of you to
Surat, we are
join
coming.
Surat.
We are having a committee program also.
Okay, madam. Good.
We are coming.
July, there is a lot of academic activity and
Yes, July,
lot of
August.
in July and August. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
all Vice President Foxy conferences are there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. And you just missed meeting Suchitra, ma'am. Suchitra Pandit, ma'am, was with us. So she was
She's very close to me. I just love to hear her. Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll hear the recording.
Yes, madam was with us for about 30-40 minutes, and we were blessed to have her blessings and her address to us, but you can see the recording. So I think after the...
And Monica, please, may I take this opportunity? And please, I'm standing for Practical Obstetric Committee. Please support my humble request. Please support me.
Definitely, ma'am. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
All support from us, Aruna ma'am, all support from MP, from our team. And I think Anita madam has nominated you also.
Thank you so much. And definitely we are with you, Dr. Monica and Dr. Sneha madam also.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. All the best wishes to you. Thank you, Anita ma'am, for your blessings, madam. And now, Dr. Purva, I think we can start the panel discussion with permission of our chairpersons.
Yes, ma'am. So moving forward, a very exciting panel discussion is about to begin. It's on POXO Act and sexual abuse. The panel moderator is our Honorable Dr. Kiranmai Devi Neni ma'am. Madam is presently chairperson, Foxy No to Violence Against Women Committee.
Dr.
Madam
Purva,
is Vice President.
yeah, Dr. Purva, I'm already introduced by Dr. Monica in detail. I think let's skip this and go forward with the panelist introduction.
Okay, ma'am, we welcome you. Now, I may take opportunity to introduce our panelists. Dr. Aruna Suman ma'am. Madam is Professor OBGY and Head at Government Medical College, Jagtia, Telangana. Madam is presently National Coordinator.
It's okay. I have been already introduced, Doctor. No problem.
We
Let's
welcome
not
you.
waste time. Let's not waste time.
Dr. Deepal is not able to join because of some personal reason. Dr. Vishang is also not able to join our panel discussion at present. Now I introduce my co-coordinator, Dr. Nandini Singh. She is Assistant Professor in OBGY Department, GMC, GMC Bhopal. She's trained in high-risk obstetric, antenatal and Dr. Vishang, ma'am, he's not able to join.
Dr. Vishang is not there, madam. That is Dr. Vishal.
Vishal, yes.
Vishal is there. Vishal is our team member.
Team member.
I just got confused.
Yeah.
Nandini has special interest in reproductive medicine and gynecological malignancies. We welcome you, Nandini. Now next,
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome Dr. Jignesh Kumar Modi. Sir is presently Secretary Porbandar OBGY Society, presently working at Riddhi Hospital, Porbandar. He's having fellowship in gynec endoscopy. He worked at Morarji Kheraj Thekra Hospital, Porbandar, Maharani Rupadiba Lady Hospital, Porbandar. Sir has been eminent faculty member in various conferences. We welcome you, sir, for your valuable inputs in panel discussion. Next, we are having Dr. Radhika Javia, ma'am. Ma'am is presently Secretary Rajkot OBGY Society. She is presently working at Bhakti Women's Hospital, Rajkot, Gujarat, and also at Javia Hospital, Rajkot. Madam is a certified sonologist under FMF, and she is having special interest in fetal ultrasound and obstetrics. We welcome you, ma'am, and looking forward to your inputs in the panel discussion. Dr. Sangeeta and Dr. Neha is also not able to join our panel discussion. Now I hand over the session to Dr. Kiranmai, ma'am, for the panel discussion.
Okay, so we have how many panelists?
And we are having at present
Dr. Nandini is there.
Nandini is
Dr.
there.
Radhika, Dr. Jignesh.
There.
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Radhika is there.
Dr.
And Dr.
Radhika,
Aruna, ma'am.
Dr. Jignesh and Dr. Nandini.
And
Yes.
Aruna ma'am is also expert.
Aruna
is
ma'am is
there.
also.
Aruna is there. Okay.
Yes, Kiran, I'm there.
Yeah. And other experts are there to join. Dr. Hina madam also will be there.
Hina ma'am is there, ma'am. Hina ma'am is there. Yeah.
So I think the three topics today have been really, really wonderful. All the each of the topics, I have enjoyed listening to all of them, and I congratulate Monica for designing this program so well. Really, it was really, really enlightening and wonderful sharing of knowledge.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Not only knowledge, it was a commitment and it was a rededication to causes also, I would feel. So the panel discussion.
One panelist has joined, Dr. Sangeeta Pava. She's Secretary of OBGY Society.
Yeah. Welcome, Sangeeta.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, basically, because the core, the crux issue is sexual abuse, but definitely the POXO, how it, how much we should know and what the POXO Act is. So that would be also a part of this panel. So, but overall, the key things that we are going to discuss or deliberate on is what is child sexual abuse, and what is actually the human sex trafficking, and what do you understand by sexual harassment and misconduct. And these are all the things which come under abuse. Like female genital mutilation, we don't have much in our country except few tribes and communities. Then few important points in the examination of a rape victim, especially we are not supposed to do certain things as per the Supreme Court direction which has come recently, the things that we have to avoid and the things that we have to do. And also, as I have told, we'll be discussing parts of the POCSO Act as part of this panel. So the first is the sexual abuse. Can anyone take this? What exactly you understand by sexual abuse, and who are in general the victims? Dr. Sangeeta or Dr. Jignesh or Dr. Radhika, anybody. Just feel free to take the question. Dr. Nandini.
Sexual abuse is anyway
abusive sexual behavior. It is the actual abusive sexual behavior by one person on the another. Simply saying.
So what all can come under this sexual abuse?
Molestation.
So it can be either actual or threatened. Physical intrusion of a sexual nature, either by force or sometimes there is this unequal or coercive conditions. As you can see that difference of power situation is there in workplace or a child and an elder. So sometimes the overt or very pertinent force may not be there, but there may be unequal conditions. Even that is considered as a sexual abuse, like pornography and child abuse, assault. I mean, behavior by an adult or older adolescent towards a child to stimulate any of the involved sexually, and use of a child younger than the age of consent for sexual stimulation and gratification. All of this will come under sexual abuse. So it is said that to complete the rape trials in India to be completed, it will take 10 years, provided there are no new cases are added from 2020 onwards. Such is the burden. I think when Dr. Geeta Madam spoke about the violence against women, we knew that, we understood that the statistics are like 1 in every 3 women. So the victims, the usual victims are again any of the spouses, but mostly women, the children and disabilities, again like violence against women, elderly people with dementia and people in poverty, minorities. All these are potential victims. Can anybody tell what is the actual prevalence of, what are the forms of sexual violence? Again, it is a question which I'm asking again and again, because we say sexual violence, we say sexual abuse, but what actually we understand, in what forms we see in our day-to-day clinical practice?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, Radhika.
Abuse, actually the word itself says that it could be either physical or verbal. I think we should consider both it as an sexual abuse. Even like in a verbal form also is included in it, I would say.
Yeah, so generally the term that comes to us when we talk of sexual violence is rape, isn't it?
Yeah.
Most common. Either it can happen even between dating relationships, partners also. But what we mostly understand by rape is a rape by a stranger. We have seen in states like Manipur and wherever there is conflict, wherever there is systematic, kind of conflict, there is systematic rape by armed forces or people in power. And we have seen certain cases where there is power hierarchy, as in Karnataka, which happened. There's a big case which is going on. The person who was in question is an MP, previous MP, and the entire district and women who were working under him had faced sexual harassment, sexual advancements, like demanding sex in return of favors. The entire thing comes under sexual violence, and again sexual abuse of children. So again, even forced marriage, marriage of children. We have discussed again in the first talk about the reproductive rights. Like if a husband is there and he's denying the right to use contraception or denying the right to use a condom for a safe sex, then that comes under sexual violence. Even it is a consensual sex, if you are denying the right to use a condom or a contraception, that also can come under the purview of sexual violence. Again, female genital mutilation, which is a violent act against the sexual integrity of women. And also we used to get requests previously, and even today, I think there are some states where women are brought to a doctor for inspections for virginity. Even that is a violence against the sexual integrity of a woman. Then trafficking of people, all these things are the various forms that we see which come under the purview of sexual abuse. Aruna? Dr. Aruna?
Hello, Kiran, tell me. Kiran.
Aruna, can you add to this, Aruna?
Yes. So actually, if I remember, you have done a study at Usmania Medical College at MGMH Hospital. We have seen many kind of such cases. You have done a study. I think you should be telling about these studies, the study you have presented regarding the violence, which presented like with convulsions, we thought it is eclampsia, but it's actually because of the violence that happened to her. She had many complications, right?
Yeah.
So this can happen.
That study we did against pregnancy, I mean violence in pregnancy. Also, because you have reminded, we have taken a study of all the medical legal cases which have been admitted in our hospital. There we had seen lot of unmarried primings, unmarried pregnancies, forced abortions and all. So they all come under sexual violence. Even child marriage comes under sexual violence, though it is legal in many countries, because children are not able to give or withhold their consent, and majority of them know little or nothing about sex before they are married. So these are the various forms of sexual violence. We have to be aware of this. Otherwise, sexual violence term as such is very abstract, and we generally think that rape or sexual assault is the only form of sexual violence.
So in every duty, we used to get cases starting from 2 years, to almost 16 years, 18 years. No one was paid. It is very pathetic condition. So we'll have to remember when we take the history and examine the girl when she comes to us.
So what is child sexual? Now we have done with what is sexual violence or sexual abuse. Now exactly what is child sexual abuse? Can anybody
Obviously, any act definitely using a child for the sexual gratification is the child sexual abuse.
Yeah.
It may or may not include touch.
So here the child is not in a position to give consent. So the matter of consent doesn't come here, because there is a relationship of power inequality. A child is less powerful, and a child below 18 years cannot give consent. So any act of sexual gratification by a more powerful person or anybody which may or may not include touch. It need not include touch also, even verbal, visual, showing pornography, all these things come under child sexual abuse. Can anybody, Dr. Jignesh, you have been, I think we could not hear from you. A word on the statistics, how much it is prevalent in our country?
Yes, madam. It is around 50%. The data shows 53.22% of all the children are usually abused in their childhood.
Yes. So it is sometimes mind-boggling. Like 50% is 1 in every 2 children face this abuse, sexual abuse. This is as per the government data by the Ministry of Women and Child Development in 2007 from 13 states. So again, why do you think this number, so much of number we are able to see? Any comment on that? Again, this is a National Crime Record Bureau statistics. Even Dr. Geeta Madam also had shown 1 lakh and more crimes against children were reported, and again, continuous increase in the report. But why this increase? Has it been real increase, and why we are seeing this 1 in 2 children that we are knowing these statistics? Any comment on that? Why is it so?
Madam, there is one thing is continuous progression in reporting also. Then the increasing number of crime also, and some when in girls many times the cases are due to they elope at younger age with their loved ones, and such cases are recorded under rape or
Yeah,
child
both
abuse.
both girls and boys, but actually this increase of 36,000 and this child helpline, as you can see, child sexual abuse reported to child helpline in 2017 to 19 is around 14,000. So what you have mentioned is that as that increased reporting, that is true, because now we have a child helpline which is
Nowadays, family structure is also changing a lot.
No, it is not because of family structure, madam. It is because there is a separate act on child sexual abuse, that is POCSO. Because POCSO has come, we are all reporting. Everybody is bound to report. And also
Madam,
there is
even
a
the
child
divorce rate
helpline.
is so high that single parent is there and that person is not able to tackle with the
Madam,
child.
I have to break this myth because it is not that families are safe. I'll come to a case next wherein the myth will be broken that the child in the family is safe all the time. Because the statistics say that in 30 to 40% of the cases, the abuser is from the family. You must have seen in your clinical cases when you encounter the cases, when it is a child, most of the times it is the family, friend and relative who is the abuser, not a stranger. So we cannot say that entirely that all families are safe, especially when with regards to child sexual abuse. So these are all the various forms of child sexual abuse. I think we have already discussed this, including displaying pornography or pressuring a child to engage, even indecent exposure to child by an adult, and direct sexual contact. All these forms come under child sexual abuse. Now let's go to one case, a real case. Around 5 to 6 years old female child was brought to a pediatric ward. She was brought by father. Mother was not there because the parents were divorced. The symptoms were genital symptoms like redness and pain during menstruation. But as is a norm, like because it's a girl child, gynecologist opinion was sought. Now, what do you think if you are the gynecologist and going and examining? What are all the possibilities you think of? What is the differential diagnosis?
Yes, madam, first of all, I think we would go with the common things like fungal infections she might be having or urinary tract infection. But if we overall, if we see if the father is coming, mother is not there, then we should suspect of anything abnormal, like of abuse or anything. So that would definitely come into our mind.
So absolutely, though you consider the common conditions like a foreign body or a urinary tract infection or trauma, anything, but you will always keep child sexual abuse as one of the differential diagnoses, especially in the following situations. Like, can anybody else complete this list where all you can suspect child sexual abuse? Dr. Sangeeta or Dr. Radhika?
Yes, it could be genital injuries or inappropriate sexual knowledge, or she can have bad betting history also, new fear of removing clothes to change or bath, a fear of being alone at night.
So these
discomfort or
behavioral
anxiety.
changes in the child, which a mother or a parent can notice or teachers can notice, that kind of certain behavioral anxiety or bedwetting or this fear to stay alone or agitation, withdrawal, anything which is little abnormal, which is not normal for the child's behavior before compared to the previous behavior. All these are things which we have to inquire and think of. That is a list, not just physical injuries. That is what I wanted to. So when to suspect? Suppose in the previous case there was no complaint by the family. Now, when to suspect child sexual abuse in the absence of allegation? There is no allegation now. Because if it's a teenage girl or if woman is there, they come with an allegation that there has been a sexual abuse or sexual assault, whereas a child cannot say. A 6-year-old child cannot say that. So it is up to us to, really think of child. What are those situations? So again, as Dr. Radhika said, as in this girl, like a girl with a vaginal discharge, like abdominal pain or bedwetting, or there is an incidental finding like in the genital area, which makes you suspicious, all these things we can suspect child sexual abuse even in the absence of allegation. So these are some of the other symptoms of child sexual abuse. A child walking and sitting with difficulty, there is fatigue, sleeping difficulty, regressive behavior like thumb sucking, bedwetting, sudden accumulation of money or gifts, poor attendance at school, and sudden dislike of certain specific people. Like there is an uncle, there is a neighbor. They used to be very comfortable with them before. Now they are avoiding that person. That is one very important indicator. Like social
mental withdrawal and mental trauma.
Yeah, anything which is
inappropriate crying.
So we have to be very, very alert to these symptoms and signs.
I would like to speak
Yes, Dr.
something.
Nandini,
Please allow
anybody
me.
can add anything. Please take charge of the discussion.
Yes, ma'am. We had a case recently, ma'am. There was a 9-year-old girl, and her first mother has passed away, and her father has remarried. She came with her father, and she used to live with her in this Nana Nani, with her maternal side parent. And her father had remarried, and her stepmother had come. So she came with a complaint of redness around her clitoral areas and the labias. And when the history was asked, the attenders were giving history that she had fallen down while taking bath. We kept on asking, but they were not replying. But the child was very scared. And when we asked her, we need to examine her, she was not allowing, she was crying. And so we did not let her go. We stayed with her for 4-5 hours, and when we comforted the child spoke up that the second maternal uncle has committed this with her, and then we did an MLC with her. So yes, definitely it seems something else, and it's actually something else sometimes.
Absolutely. The fact that you have spent 4 to 5 hours, you have suspected, and you have done so much, it has helped a child. Otherwise, it would have gone unnoticed. So that is the role of gynecologists. Absolutely. That was a wonderful job done, Dr. Nandini. So what are the common myths and misconceptions with child sexual abuse? As with any other abuse, Dr. Geeta repeatedly spoke about victim blaming, pointing, even Dr. Jairani's talk told about pointing fingers at adolescents. So again, we may point fingers at children also. So it happens only to girls. It's a big myth.
And only by the strangers. This is also a myth.
Yes, Dr. Sangeeta. Actually,
only in the good communities it happens. It's also
absolutely. Or the parents are not bothered, or it always includes physical contact. It not always be a physical contact, and that it is easily detectable. It is not easily detectable, as just Dr. Nandini has shared with us. And also, the one of the myth is it cannot be stopped. No, it can be stopped, and there are ways and means. There are laws, and there is a role for us. So that is the common myths and misconceptions. And I was telling something. Yeah, Dr. Sangeeta was telling something about, I forgot. Okay. So this continued the case scenario. As Dr. Nandini said, even this gynecologist had suspected abuse. She mentioned in her opinion, and she informed the RMO, the administration. Now, what is the role of the administration or gynecologist to do in such a case? Is there a mandatory law to report? How should we report? Or we can just ignore what are the laws and rules saying, or what is our moral this thing? Dr. Jignesh.
Yes. When the law specifies that we have to report it mandatorily, when we suspect there is otherwise there is a punishment which amounts to around 6 months or 1 year. The postcode. Second thing is if you don't report, there is punishment, and if you are a male gynae, then if you suspect, you should immediately stop examination, call for a female gynae to examine the patient. The rule specifies that if the victim is a girl child, it is a woman, a doctor who has to examine the patient. So for me, if I am a male gynae, I have to see to it that I stop examining I report it to the police, make a female gynae available, and then continue with the examination.
Absolutely, sir. Very important. Actually, before POXO, it used to be like covered under the IPC. So there was no special law for children. But after POXO has come, it has been totally oriented towards child rights. And after that, it is like 50% of the children are being affected. And there is a lot of difference in how we treat these victims and survivors. So much of law is there. So this is a special law which has come into force in 2012. It is a gender neutral law. Because in the first presentation, again, we had so much, almost 2 slides or 20 points where there are special laws for women. Whereas this law is not just for girls. It is gender neutral. It is for both girls and boys. And yeah, I was about to make that point. In the 50% of the child sexual abuse, many are boys. Almost half of them are boys. And the boys sexual abuse doesn't come even more, even girls, that doesn't get detected even as much as girls sexual abuse. So boys are also huge victims in this child sexual abuse. So it is a gender neutral act. And what does it do? The objectives of POXO is to protect the children from the offenses of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography, and to have a special fast-track courts for speedy trial of such offenses. It's a gender-neutral law, all as I have told, and it has got punishment for perpetrators irrespective of age and gender, and it defines the child as less than 18 years. There are different punishments for definitions for sexual harassment, sexual assault, penetrative sexual assault, non-penetrative sexual assault, and aggravative penetrative sexual assault. Can anybody say what is this aggravated sexual assault?
Aggravated is when the other one, there are actually a lot of in the rule, there are a lot of criteria for that. And when one of them is like when it is more powerful, when the person is more powerful, and it is committed on a child, and
a person who is in uniform, who is in a position of power.
Yes, ma'am. Army
like
official,
a principal,
government
like
official.
a teacher, like a government officer,
Yes.
like a police officer. If they do, that is even more punishable. And what
And
Dr.
does it in the-
Jignesh has told, that is failure to report an offense, comes under Section 21 of POXO. It is punishable with 6 months to 1 year. So Section 18 is special courts. Rule 6 is aggravated penetrative sexual assault, that is position, when people are in position do it. It is almost 20 years to life imprisonment. So such stringent punishments are there. So now, in this case, coming back to this case, so they have informed the administration. So the next, as Dr. Jignesh has told, it was informed to police under POXO and documented. Now the police have not taken forward this case. And on the top of that, the gynecologist got some calls from unknown persons to change the opinion or to drop her opinion about sexual abuse. Now what should we do? What could be the reasons? Here is a child. There is no complaint at all. The father got, there is no mother, there is no allegation, and there is some redness in the genital area, and the gynecologist thinks that it is sexual abuse. We report to the police, and after that, there is no action.
Ma'am, definitely there is somebody involved, a person is from the higher authority. Then only the police won't take it forward. I would guess so.
One second. Ma'am, I'll call you, ma'am. I mean, maybe. So that could be one reason. Okay. Now what should we do? Okay, that could be one reason, that there are very powerful people involved.
Madam, the best thing to do is to inform in written and take
In
a
written.
copy.
They have not acknowledged, sir. They have given in written by the RMO, but they have not acknowledged. Here, what
Yes,
they have
you have
done
to
is,
take
there are
acknowledge.
three
If
things
not,
that
then
are
We cannot change now.
yes, ma'am.
No, we cannot
Then we
change.
have
How
to
we
dial
can
100
change
and
our opinion now? If we are getting calls, we cannot change our opinion on the basis of calls.
Absolutely, we cannot change. But the POXO, that complaint, the police are not taking now. Whom to tell? So there were 2 or 3 things. One is to send a mail to the higher officials and to the police commissioner, higher officials, the state police commissioner. So this was informed to the police commissioner, and immediately it was fast-tracked, and the case was booked, and it was proved as child sexual assault. child sexual abuse. And what Dr. Adhika was telling, I think Radhika or Nandini was telling that they are very powerful people. So who could be the culprits in this case? It was father's brother. Father's brother, paternal uncle, who was the abuser, and this father had business relations with the local police. So there is own family involved, and there is a police link. So it became like, the child was not at all important. So there was power hierarchy. So these things exist in POCSO. So as in the beginning, one myth I can say that there are nuclear families now, there are joint families before. So that doesn't hold, because most of the times in case of child sexual abuse, 30% it is relatives, the known people, because the child trusts, then they do this. And 60% are acquaintances like family, friends, babysitters, neighbors. Only 10% are strangers. So these are the facts about this thing. So, sir, anything anybody can add on to this trial by special court? Like here, we are not dealing with an adult. Here is a child who is 6 years old, who is 7 years old, who is 9 years old. Now, these courts, what special rules or special guidelines are noted down in the POCSO? Anybody?
For Ms. Madam, the statement of the child has to be taken at his or her home.
Yes.
So the premises are familiar to the child.
Yes.
Second is the trial has to be completed within 1 year.
Yes.
And third, as I said, if it's a female victim, the doctor has to be a woman.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. And even there is this thing to say that the police should not wear uniform also. They should go in a civil dress, not to intimidate the child. There should be a psychologist or a counselor, and it should be done at home. Frequent breaks to be given. I mean, it is entirely child-friendly atmosphere has to be created. And the identity, this is very important in POCSO. The identity of the child is not to be disclosed. And trial as in a sessions trial offense, and no aggressive questions, no character assassination of the child. All these things have to be very, very important and given in the POCSO Act. And the evidence
Culprit and victim should not come in direct contact during the...
Yes, absolutely, with the abuser. And it should be recorded within 30 days, and the trial should be completed as soon as possible, or at least within a year. And the child is not to be exposed to the accused. It should be on camera. And special public prosecutors, translators, special educators, all these are important. Now, what are the after effects of child sexual abuse? Of course, we have done POCSO. The case has been taken forward. The culprits are punished. Now, what happens to the child? What are the things that we have to take into account?
Yes, psychologically, the child is to be supported well, and not only child, the parents and the community in which the child is living will also be affected because of this sexual abuse. So all these things have to be taken care of.
So
it is going to affect the child emotionally, psychologically, and physically, all three together.
So these are all the things which they have described apart from the mental health effects. It is a post-traumatic stress disorder. Lot of psychological issues will be there. And even such children, if it has been a chronic abuse, then there is possibility of even addiction, injury, suicide, sexual dysfunction, and re-victimization in adulthood. And they may grow up to inflict violence later as adults. So it is a case of long-term psychological trauma, especially if parents are the culprits, then the child becomes all alone. So it is even more, it's a lifelong complication because of none of their fault. So this is an impact on survivor, impact on loved ones, and impact on community. Now, what is this we have done. So one we have discussed is how to identify, how to go forward, how to report, and how to do what to do when the police don't take the complaint and all. And actually, the other day in the discussion, it has come out that is written complaint necessary. So one of the ideas was to call up the child helpline 1098 because it gets recorded. Even that has to be done apart from informing the police. So that also is okay. So what else can we do you think we can prevent some aspects of this child sexual abuse? Of course, healing and helping, all that rehabilitation is there. So this is one campaign, touch and bad touch, but now it is being called as safe touch and unsafe touch. It has to be taught to children as early as 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years. And this was a campaign, this was a training, or this is a sensitization program which was done in Andhra Pradesh school. One of the schools know about this. 5 girls from classes 9th and 10th were subjected to sexual harassment, and there were 5 teachers who were involved. And even principal, what has he done? The girls have complained, and the principal has ignored. So once this training has happened, those girls and boys, they have complained to the people who had come to train them. So it had kind of lifted the lid on these horrors in this school, and all of them were arrested. The DO, and the DO had taken action. Of course, the principal and teachers and everybody, 5 teachers, including principal, who was like not taking any action. So that I feel when we talk to our children, or when we talk to as parents or as community advocacy, or when we go to schools and all, definitely we should take time to understand and teach about this safe and unsafe touch and behavior to children, because it is not done in teens. It should be done before that. So something about child sex trafficking. So again, NCRB data and CRY report again shows a very, very grim report. So this is about girl children who are going missing from 2016, 65% to 75% in 2022. And many are girls. Most of them are not recovered. As you can see here, around 94,000 of them were girls and 33,000 were boys. And children untraced are 30,000 to 13,000. So how do you define human trafficking? Anybody? Under law.
May I?
Yes, please.
As per section 370, it is defined, human trafficking is defined as whoever for the purpose of exploitation recruits, transports, harbors, transfers, or receives a person or persons by first using threats, secondly using force or any other form of coercion, or thirdly by abduction, or fourthly by practicing fraud or deception, or fifthly by abuse of power, or sixthly by inducement, including the giving or receiving of payment or benefits in order to achieve the consent of any person having control over the person recruited, transported, harbored, transferred, or received commits the offense of trafficking.
Which is such a wide definition, and so much goes in this definition of human trafficking, right from the bonded labor to child labor to abducting children, to using them for using lure of jobs, lure of marriage. So everything comes under human trafficking. So this is again, so many types of trafficking is there: familial trafficking, then commercial trafficking, cyber sex trafficking, forced marriage, and so many social issues are also there. So, but what is our role and responsibility in cases of human trafficking as gynecologists? So we should know about
We
it.
should know know about it, know how to report. We should know about the helplines. What is the impact of this trafficking on health? We should know and explain, and examination of the survivors, of course, and the girls.
Yeah. So what are the laws that are specific to trafficking, just like child sexual abuse, or is there any specific helpline? So we don't have a specific act like POCSO for trafficking, though there is that Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, which is as old as 1956, and there is an IPC section 370, but we do not have a specific act which is as powerful and as effective as POCSO. And also there is no helpline specifically for human trafficking. Again, the helplines that you have to remember is 100, 1098, which is a child helpline, 181 and 1091 for the women's helpline. So this is from the Odisha government. They have a crime against women and children wing, and they have connected it to the nearest police stations, and they have given a helpline here specifically, and there is one IAHT unit and the laws for human trafficking. But this is little very non-uniform. Different states are doing in a different ways, but when you listen to anti-trafficking activists, you are so disturbed. This is that much is the level of human trafficking and child trafficking. Now, when a woman or a child or anybody comes with a survivor of a sexual assault, what is it immediately that you are going to do? Either private or government. So these are the important things that have to be done. Actually, when a patient reports as a sexual assault, it should be treated as a medical emergency. So anybody can tell me, if you are a private practitioner and somebody brings or comes to you and you suspect sexual assault, what is it that you are going to do? Are you going to reject the case? Are you going to, even in a child sexual abuse?
Madam, I think as a private practitioner, I would call the gynecologist at the government hospital. I would even as per the law, I think we should have a female constable, police constable to be present even if we are examining if she's having excessive bleeding or anything, and we just need to examine immediately.
So you are not going ahead with the examination until a police constable is there. Any different opinion? Even in POCSO, suppose a child comes to you and there is no police.
We can examine and start the treatment of the patient. Absolutely. But yes, we have to inform, but we can start. But being a male, if it is a female, I have to.
Male, female doctor, the difference is there, absolutely. But you cannot deny the treatment, especially in POCSO. You don't wait for the FIR.
Yes.
You don't wait for the police to
Because
start.
if the patient is bleeding like hell, we cannot say no.
You cannot say that you have to get a police, you have to make a case. Even in case of an adult, it is first of all, you have to report, definitely. But you have to do it as a first aid, you have to stabilize, you have to give first aid, and you have to attend to the patient. And also, if necessary, if there is no nearby government hospital, or you have to examine, and if the survivor desires, you may have to conduct the sexual assault forensic examination, even as a private practitioner. Aruna, you want to add private practitioners what they have to do?
Yes, Kiran. Actually, as you said, whenever they come to the private practitioners, definitely if she's bleeding or if there is any emergency, you'll have to attend, not wait for the FIR or police. Later on, they can continue by informing the police, and if they want, they can send to the government hospital.
But first of all, the first things have to be done. You cannot straight away reject a patient just because it is a sexual assault.
And if you reject, it will be a problem for you and for us also, because that's our responsibility.
You are not treating the emergency. Second is, there may be delay in collecting the evidence, and that may hinder the case.
Is it mandatory after giving the first aid treatment to refer the patient to the government hospital only? Is it
not necessary? Not necessary,
actually. But government hospitals are better equipped because, it is part of their duty. They have those safe kits. They have this police and all. They bring it to the government hospital. It's an institution. They can refer to higher centers. You can refer to a government hospital, no problem about it. But first of all, attend to the patient, inform police in case of a POCSO. Then you stabilize her and then refer. Sometimes you may have to do the examination, and also you cannot say that because I'm a private practitioner, I cannot do this.
Madam, I would like to interrupt here.
Always refer to the government hospitals. You can.
Yes, it's not always that you cannot, don't want to refuse. It's that private practitioners do not want to get attached with the everything, and so they refer to the government. It is not by willingness they are referring.
Absolutely.
It is by law.
It is not easy to examine and get
Yeah,
into
they don't want that police chakkar.
No, ma'am,
and
totally
that's why they
understood.
refuse.
But the point that we are making is just because it is an assault or MLC, don't be in a hurry to say that we don't take such cases and all. If she needs a basic first aid treatment and all, if it has to be informed to police like POCSO, you have to inform
Any gynecologist can do it after informing the police. Any gynecologist.
Ma'am,
They
it
should
it
do
is
it.
like this, Hina ma'am, it is like this. Suppose the girl is having some vaginal tear which is bleeding. Definitely she can attend and we can suture the tear and then inform police also. If there is any
yes.
emergency,
that's
we'll
what
have to
madam
attend.
Madam, I would like to differ there. First, you
Yes.
have to take evidence and then only you can suture. Otherwise, you will be punished by the court for tampering the evidence. That rape victim examination has to be done by a private practitioner if the patient is brought to you, irrespective of whether you are practicing in private or government hospital.
Yes, yes.
So
agreed,
you
agreed.
cannot escape. A private practitioner cannot escape if a rape victim has come to him or her. He
Yes,
has
I
to
agree.
provide all the facilities that are present at a medical college for her examination and evidence
because
collection.
it may cause delay in examination and collection of samples and smears and cause a delay in some.
Madam, when we
parents-
try to suture the tear, you will use antiseptics and
We will
everything.
lose
No. Before that,
loss of-
definitely we'll have to
loss
collect
of
the
evidence
evidence,
will be
Dr.
there.
Jignesh.
What Dr. Aruna meant is you have to treat the tear also.
Yes,
apart from
yes.
exam.
That's
But
what I
first
mean to
collect
say.
the evidence, and that is also has to be done
Yes,
by
yes,
private
yes,
practitioner
yes.
before starting the treatment.
That is the protocol. You follow the protocol, but still you can suture the tear. That's what I mean to say. You need not refer to the government hospital. That's
Yes,
what
yes,
I want to make it clear.
Cannot refer to the government.
Yeah,
If
so-
it is brought to you, you have to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
agree, Dr. Jignesh. Yes.
Yes.
The role of gynecologist here basically is use important evidence of the crime, as Dr. Jignesh says, because this will help the judges to understand and use reports to corroborate the survivor's story and enhance credibility and offer primary level counseling, treatment, and referral.
And nowadays, madam, we can always take a videography, even if it is an emergency bleed, something like that. We can take the videography, photographs, and then start the treatment so that the evidence is not,
No, I mean, Dr. Jignesh means the evidence of the forensic examination, madam. Like
The vaginal and swabs
vagina
and all, madam.
inspection.
That should be
overall
anyway
exam.
taken, ma'am. When we take a photograph, again we need special permission and consent.
We cannot take pictures. Now, highlight only important protocols when it comes to the examination of minor victim. Again, this has been told by woman doctor if the victim is a girl in the presence of parents, or if the parents are not to be trusted, any person of trust. Suppose in the previous case here, the parents were the suspect, mother is not there, father is like he cannot be trusted. Now, whom should we ask to be attending this child?
maternal,
child is an orphan.
Masi is good. I mean, maternal side.
No, ma'am, because the family itself is the culprit, which happens in sometimes, many times.
So,
Child
women
abuse.
representative of the medical institution also we can take the.
Yeah, so it can be from the child. There are child welfare committees, CWC committees. There are child helplines. There are these Bal Rakshak departments. So from there, the person, women representation of that institution or even a medical institution or whoever the child trusts, the relatives, friends and all, they can be present. Okay. So these are the important points, Dr. Jignesh, which are there in the Government of India guidelines. There are 25 points here, which I have not elaborated in detail. So 1 to 11 are general instructions. 12 is informed, like if a patient comes, you are examining. So there are general instructions. I'll show the link or the website later. Informed consent. 13 is marks of identification. 14 is you take relevant medical surgical history. 15 you take history of sexual violence, what type of sexual violence, emotional violence, etc. And 16 is general physical examination. Point number 17 is you examine for injuries. Then you go 18, you go to the external genitalia. 19 is systemic examination. Point 20 and 21 is you collect evidence and sample collection. 22 is you give your provisional medical opinion. 23 is whatever treatment you have prescribed. 24 is date and completion, time of completion of examination. Then 25, finally, at the end of receiving the opinions from the forensic and all, you give the final opinion. Now, this is one important thing. 2-finger test are you doing? So what is the status of 2-finger test?
No, ma'am,
Are
it
you
has been
still,
prohibited.
still, I think the old forms have, or we used to report that hymen admits or vagina admits 2 or 3 fingers, and then we used to write that
No,
it
no,
admits
ma'am.
2 fingers.
Recently,
Any
the
difference?
Supreme Court said it is not to be done.
Not to be done.
No.
So this is the guidance note that we have from the committee put up in the Foxy website. So the Supreme Court has given very clearly, any person who uses the 2-finger test or per vaginum examination while examining a person supposed to have had a sexual assault, this court shall be guilty of misconduct. So that is the level of warning that Supreme Court has issued. So never ever mention, never ever do 2-finger test. That is one thing that I wanted to tell. This is the guidance note you can see in the Foxy website. So we'll not go into the sexual harassment and all. I think much of it has been covered by Dr. Geeta. So what are the redressal support and rehabilitation? Like you have seen a victim or a survivor, where can you direct her? Any numbers or any centers you have been telling, of course. Any idea that any one of you are in contact with or have used these one-stop Sakhi centers at any time?
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware that every state has these Sakhi centers or one-stop crisis centers?
Yes, ma'am, we are aware.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody? Nandini,
ma'am.
doctor, you were telling about one child
Yes, ma'am.
which you examined. Did you take the help of child welfare department or one-stop
Ma'am, we
crisis?
took help. Yes, ma'am, we
help.
took
So
help of child welfare and psychologists.
in our place, what we do is whenever there is a adult woman who comes with sexual assault, it is the Sakhi center we inform, one-stop crisis center. Sometimes they come with pregnancy, unmarried adults also. It is only the Sakhi center we inform. Suppose if it is a child who is less than 18 years, like 16 years, 17 years, 15 years, who comes with pregnancy or abortion or sexual assault, it is also important to notify the child helpline. So both departments, actually child helpline and child welfare department takes it forward, and the Sakhi center also. So I think please be aware of what are all the Sakhi centers in and around your place of work. Try to find out all them. And here in our place, we have made it almost a protocol. Whenever any violence is there, not just sexual violence, any violence, suspected violence is there, we immediately inform the one-stop crisis center.
Madam, in our institute, one patient came in one unit. She was having HMOL and she was 16 years old. They informed the police. Police took the girl with them and she never turned back. And we prepared the file. Everything was done, but she never turned back.
She never turned back. So this is something which happens with POCSO. Again, I don't know if the time permits, because the Dr. Jairani also told, once we say it is a police case, the child will run away, the parents will run away. So that is also happening.
No,
but
parents have run away. No, ma'am. No, parents have run away. Police took the girl with them and later on she never turned back.
So what did you do, Dr. Sangeeta?
We informed the police. Police came and they took that girl with them and later on she never turned back.
No, the girl had parents with them, with her?
Yes.
And what did the parents do if the police have taken away the child?
They went with them. And my police officer signed that file that we are taking the girl with us.
I mean, the parents are okay.
Yes, parents went with them. And after that, she never returned back.
Was she pregnant?
She was having HMOL.
Acha, molar pregnancy.
Yeah.
Maybe she must have taken her to a private setup where I don't know, because Sometimes it happens that some of the practitioners are not aware of this POXO or the medical legal issues. They may do MTPs or they may do these abortions on the slide without reporting. But the important information is any gynecologist, any doctor who does this without informing police or without following the law is liable for punishment. So that is one important.
Madam,
but
if
this
a patient is coming with pregnancy less than 18 years, but she delivers after 18 years, even then police has to be informed?
Yeah, I didn't get your, can you repeat?
Say one patient is delivering at 18 years old. She's 18 years, 3 months, or say, we can say this. She delivers at 18 years, 3 months, but she was pregnant before 18
we
years.
have to. You see, it is not about delivery point. It is not about pregnancy point. It is about sexual contact which is happening at less than 18 years. Technically, legally, you are supposed to inform police. To be safe, to escape the law. Sometimes the police in Karnataka state, they were saying that police counsel them, they don't take the case forward, whatever happens, they change the Aadhaar and all, but for our safety, we have to inform the police if we understand that it is less than 18 years. So they may come to you at 18 years and already 5 months pregnant. That means it has happened below 18 years. So you have to report. So these are all the women helplines, National Commission Women. Better to keep a poster of this in our clinics or hospitals so that we may use, or the survivors or the victims. Sometimes they don't tell you. The husband is or the perpetrator is with them, but they see the numbers. So they may call the numbers. So displaying the helpline numbers, to display the Saki Center numbers in our hospitals, we tell widely that these are the helpline numbers. So that also helps. So, and one final word about Suchitra madam was telling about at workplace, Vishaka guidelines. This is also very, very important. So this is Vishaka guidelines, Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. So specific act is there. And I think we all know about the Me Too campaign which happened. Everybody came forward and it was like universal. I think there won't be any girl or woman who has not faced even a single kind of harassment in her life, either verbal, eve teasing, or indecent touching, comment, anything. So, and again, recently we have, I don't know how many of you are aware of the Hassan case, Prajwal Revana case and all. The damage was done by the abuser, of course. What happened was the recording of all that abuse was done. And it was kept in a pen drive, and that pen drive was circulated to all the people in Karnataka. It was going around in mobile phones without, hiding or blurring the victims or survivors. So it had become an abuse or harassment which was more than the actual abuse. So the women went into hiding, they went into depression, they were contemplating suicide, they were, victimized, shamed, they could not face their families, they could not face their children because of revealing of identity. So again, Supreme Court says an absolute ban on the media to publish or air the names or any material which even remotely reveals the identity of victims of sexual crimes. So this we have to be very, very vigilant. We should not let others do, or maybe we should take people to court or object. So this is not done. So revealing no person can print or publish in print or electronic social media the name of the victim, or even in remote manner disclose, which can lead to the victim being identified and which should her identity known to the public at large. So the bar extends to which can even remotely be used to identify the victim. This is by the Supreme Court judgment December 11, 2023. I think. So genital mutilation, I'll not touch it because it is really very horrendous crime. It happens in some of the communities in our country also, though it is very, very, very relevant, very rampant in African countries. Actually, yeah. And one country has gone back on punishments on this. It has gone back. Like it has taken away the punishments on genital mutilation. It's Congo. So that's how the governments, like US also has made the MTP Act and MTP very, anti-women and all. So at least in our country, we have laws to protect. We have a very pro-women governments, pro-women laws. So that is one huge this thing for us. So again, we are at the center as medical professionals. So, but this is all, the survivor will reach out to someone she trusts. It can be a nurse, it can be a neighbor, it can be anybody. But being in the middle, we are at the center. So we should know how to provide what all kinds of supports and rehabilitation that a woman needs and collaborate with the law and not do anything which endangers the girl or the woman or the boy or not endanger ourselves also. We have to be safe and we should keep the survivors or the victims also safe. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam, one question.
Yeah,
Kiran
wait,
ma'am. Yeah, I had a question. Like, if I think there was a discussion before that there was a patient who came and there was a signs of child sexual abuse, but the parents refused, and so it was not like, what should we do as a private practitioner? We are suspecting it as a child sexual
you
abuse.
have to inform police. You have to inform police. Yeah,
Even
let
if
me.
they are not willing.
No, that's so. That is the whole point of the panel. So even if there is no allegation, if you suspect, you can in good faith report. Suppose it has turned out false. There is no punishment for a false complaint or alert notice to the police on part of the gynecologist. Suppose a child comes to you and the child says somebody has done something to them or her or him. But later on, it turns out that the child has told lie or he has not told the truth, he or she. Even then, that child is not punishable. And the gynecologist who does in good faith is not punishable. You know, you have to report to the police that I am suspecting abuse. I am suspecting sexual abuse.
Yes.
Then it is up to the police. They have a time frame of 24 or 48 hours to take the child to the child welfare department. Then there are particular time frame to report, to make an FIR, to take the child for examination. Everything the police and the government departments have to do. Our first mandatory thing is to report if you suspect.
But sometimes, Dr. Kiran, patient comes, sabka Aadhaar card, we don't take Aadhaar card of all.
Yeah, we don't.
If she has already having some scan, we don't take Aadhaar card.
Ma'am, we
They tell
used to
you the
take
age
Aadhaar
is
card.
this.
No, again, there was some pamphlet or a flyer I had seen from the radiology organization, Indian Radiology Association, which mentioned about what to do in cases of POXO. There also, they have very clearly mentioned, see the Aadhaar card or if you suspect, you have to first report.
For
And
PCP and DT, though we take Aadhaar card, na? But she, suppose she
even
has
in
some scan with her.
government, there is nothing that we do without Aadhaar. I think even in private, you are supposed to see the Aadhaar and all. Whereas Aadhaar is mandatory.
We used to take Aadhaar card, and ma'am, what has happened
Even for OP
recently?
registration, even for OP registration,
Even in the files, we are having our Aadhaar card. Yeah. Poonam ma'am, listen to me.
For all the benefits,
Dr. Sangeeta.
Yeah, ma'am. One patient came. She was having Aadhaar card. With her, she came for the delivery. There was Aadhaar card with another husband. And when she delivered, she told us that this is not his baby. She said she has been divorced with that person and she is living with the other person and this is the baby of the other person. And gave the consent of the other husband.
No, is she an adult, Dr. Sangeeta? No, is she an adult? Is she an adult?
Yeah, but she gave us Aadhaar card of another husband.
It's okay. See,
ये तो वैसे Dr. Sangeeta, this can happen.
My point is, why do we need Aadhaar basically for the sex, for the age, isn't it? If she is an adult, you are not much bothered unless she complains of harassment or assault.
Actually,
Your
what
only main
happened?
point is this patient or child under 18?
Around 15-20 days back, I got summons from police. कि आप अपना रिकॉर्ड लेके आइए. दैट इंस्पेक्टर केम एंड टोल्ड मी कि आप अपना रिकॉर्ड लेके आइए, ये डेट का पेशेंट है. एंड व्हेन आई एग्जामिन्ड द डेट वाज ऑफ 2019. I said, we are supposed to keep records of 2 years and I don't have record. He said, you come 30 minutes early in court, I will show you the file. Then after seeing your OPD paper, etc., you will remember something. And it turned out to be that patient's age, I have written 19 years on the paper and she was having RPOC. her MTP was done somewhere, and it turned out to be that she was only 16 years old.
Yeah.
तो वो ये जो लोग होते हैं ना, they will just put tie
Yeah,
a
no,
sari
no,
around
no.
her and put
I will tell you,
mang, and
no,
then
ma'am.
they will bring the patient to you.
I will tell another case. There was a case which was admitted with pubertal menorrhagia. She was very young child. Somehow the gynecologist, they didn't. She was so young that they didn't think of doing a urine pregnancy test. They just believed the story. It is pubertal menorrhagia. She was admitted 5 grams, 4 grams, 6 grams. Scan was done. Scan was normal. Uterus was normal. Nothing was there. And then one of her senior professors had come. She didn't believe the story. I remember she took 40-45 minutes alone with the patient and the mother. And then finally the story came out that the girl was, there was one boy known to the girl. They were in contact. And the boy had the man, not the boy. He was adult only. He took her to a over-the-counter MTP pills. He had given it. And then he took her to a private hospital or whatever hospital. There they have done a MTP, check your attach. She bled and then they came to us and concealed the history. Because the professor took out the history, we did the urine pregnancy test and we taped it to the case sheet and we made it an MLC. Done. Then we treated, she was a septic abortion. It was a septic abortion with lot of difficulty. She survived. Then what happened? Suddenly after 1 month, police came and I was called because I was on duty on that day. The police sat there and in front of him, I had to write a preliminary opinion of that case. What happened was the 2 villages, there was a case booked later after 1 month on the boy. And there were 2 villages which were doing Rasta Roko on the highway. So highway was blocked and they've made a MLC and they have gone ahead with an FIR. Because of that professor, otherwise, we would have gone like, no, it is pubertal menorrhagia. It is anemia. Actually, then the entire history came out. We would have been in the wrong thing. I mean, not diagnosing pregnancy and abortion. So some things are very big. So dictum is any woman in a reproductive age group do a pregnancy test. And any early pregnancy do suspect ectopic pregnancy. These 2 things, I think.
These 2 things are
Government hospitals, in government hospitals, we do get such cases very often. It's not a rare thing. We get because they hide their history.
Yeah, they may hide everywhere, ma'am. That is the point. They may hide anywhere.
We have ask for age Aadhaar card, and we also do MLC on.
Not age. No, pregnancy hiding or anything hiding can be done anywhere. So we have to suspect.
Ma'am, no girl is saying I am pregnant or I am having contact with any person. But for every patient, we are going for the pregnancy test. Whether she is hiding
doubt,
it,
any question, any menorrhagia, any thing we may have to do. We do it.
Nowadays, girls
Dr.
are getting
Kirnamai, I think if all of us will share our views now, so we can write a book.
Yes.
Seriously.
Seriously.
I think 6 months back or something, some unmarried girl came, irregular bleeding, जैसे आपने बोला. So my staff nurse or my junior, she took the history and she asked for, have you any contact with someone? That girl went outside. She told us no contact. We said, okay. So she went outside and then the 3 persons came inside and they started fighting. How could you ask this from the girl? How could you ask? And then that fellow said, तुम्हारे बच्चे रुक रहे हैं अपने तो रोक लिए तुमने क्या? हमारे बच्चों से पूछ रही हो. That was the chacha of that girl.
That can happen.
From that day onwards, I have told all my staff, किसी ने history नहीं लेनी, just write beta CG bas.
It's again they say violence by obstetricians. They say obstetricians are very disrespectful and all. If you ask contact also, it's a problem. If you ask are you married also is a problem in some urban areas. So, but anyway, it's an evolving, learning kind of thing. We should think of
हम एक फॉक्सी में एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग का भी कुछ स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं, बताओ, है ना?
न्यू कमिटी मैडम, न्यू कमिटी.
नहीं एक्सपीरियंस शेयरिंग किसी एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे फॉक्सी में बना के देखो कितने.
सर आधार एज प्रूफ नहीं होता क्या?
नो मैडम. Aadhaar card is not legally considered as age proof.
But for us, for the patients,
Yes,
we take
we do the best for what we
do
do,
the
but
best. We
yes,
cannot go for the X-ray examination and
yes,
all that.
madam.
We can take
Second thing is, as per FOCI guidelines, we are supposed to keep medical records for 5 years, as per
yeah,
our
not
FOCI
2 years,
guidelines.
5 years, 5
And
years.
by MCI, we are supposed to keep it for 3 years.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Monica.
Yes, ma'am. But one thing
Thank
is
you,
sure,
Rinki.
madam, we have to be now very, very polite to patients in
Very
this
polite,
private
right.
setup, ma'am. I don't know about government.
Everywhere. No,
Every
government
every
also. Government also.
Earlier we used to scold
It's a
little
different
bit our
set of
patients.
problems, but everywhere that abuse, the disrespect, that
Ma'am, 10 years back we used to scold little bit.
नहीं मेरे मेरे जैसी एज वाले फिर भी किसी को स्कोल्ड कर सकते हैं, राधिका जैसी एज वाले नहीं कर सकते।
एक लेके कर लेना चाहिए, वो भी experience के हिसाब
We
से।
had our good times. Before I retirement, we could scold the patients in government setup because they are
No, ma'am. Nowadays in
economic people.
institute also we cannot
अभी नहीं
scold.
कर सकते, अभी नहीं कर सकते।
Definitely, we have to scold in the welfare of the patient sometimes. But generally, what I do is, what happens is, whatever the problem is, you end up scolding the patient. Poor thing, she cannot decide anything. So generally, I call the family and do the scolding sometimes.
But madam, in government setup, sometimes we are overburdened. We don't have time to get the history. If they don't give, we have to sometimes scold. Yeah.
Again, it's a learning that I have made, that don't scold the patients because already they're in a
Yeah,
kind
they
of,
are. No, but
they are already
sometimes we
facing
get
some things.
irritated when they don't give us proper history, proper things what we want.
one
We
practical
just
point
need
is,
to
madam,
take deep breaths.
never mention age less than 19 years on your USDF forms. Never write age less than 19 years on your F forms.
Yes.
And you will not be in trouble. That is what the patient told me. That is what I have written on your
What I have written.
prescriptions.
Right.
And yeah.
It is not our onus to check every Aadhaar card.
Yes,
also.
yes, madam. That is the best thing we can do.
What you're saying, less than 19 should not be written.
Yes, madam. Because if you write 18 years, then the police will claim that you did not inform. It
How
was
did you
18
know
when
18? She must have been 17 when she has had
when she
sexual.
had conceived. So never write below 19 years on your F forms.
Whatever be the age, whatever be the
Yes,
age.
never write below 19.
No, take care that you don't end up writing 18.
Yes, sir.
Either way.
So, madam, it is 18 completed or it is 18 starting?
18 completed.
Complete.
So 18 completed.
18 complete.
And that means if she's pregnant at 18, that means the sexual assault or whatever has happened, the marriage, whatever has happened, so you have to report.
So 19, that's why you said 19. You write
Yes.
19 only.
To be on the safer side.
To be on the safer side.
But
Because
as far as possible, be with the law, and if you have to report, you report. That's what the message is.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Kiran ma'am, and thank you so much, Poonam madam, for this committee program. I think we
Best
have
wishes to all the committee who are contesting for all the committees.
So, madam, we have done 4 hours of ICOG today. It is 8 o'clock.
Whenever this POXO is there, it goes on and on and on.
So I told Nandini and Purva and Neetu that this is only 3 hours program, but we will write on the flyer 4 to 8. We'll get the ICOG points. So, madam, we convert it to 4 hours. Thank you so much, Poonam madam. Thank you so much, Kiranmai ma'am. Thank you, Aruna Suman ma'am. Thank you, Hina ma'am, Jignesh sir, Jairani ma'am, and Sarfraz sir, all my coordinators, Radhika ma'am, and Sangeeta ma'am, my coordinators, Nandini and Purva and Neetu, and of course, our support team, Intas Pharmaceutical, Dr. Vishal Dave, tech support for this program. It has been a very, very mind-opening, eye-opening, and psychologically, heavy webinar, but it has given us a lot of food for thought that the future belongs to children. And as gynecologists, we are most able to protect the child. So we should use and exercise our power judiciously and learn to tackle these criminals in a way that law supports us and law doesn't go against us. And every child saved is future saved. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Monica, for this opportunity. It's a well-structured program. The program is really excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And this is, we'll just give you a teaser for our next Symbiosis. Next Symbiosis, we have already tied up with Jairani, madam. We are going to do a committee program with Foxy Infertility Committee and Clinical Research Committee, along with TN Fogg. So hoping to involve the Tamil Nadu societies with next Symbiosis in collaboration with Dr. Jairani Kamraj. And this is 27th of June, Thursday, Symbiosis 15, 4 to 8 p.m., where you're going to have heavy duty infertility. We are back into my favorite arena, along with clinical research and methodology, which is again one of our favorite topics because all of our girls are very academic girls. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
for the
Monica. ma'am.
opportunity.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Good night. Good night,
If
everyone.
there are any pictures taken, please share in the group.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
We can upload it.
Thank you so much,
Bye,
ma'am.
madam.
Bye, bye.
We'll
Good
meet in
night.
Surat, I think, the first week of June.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Unknown caller.